You are not wrong, the Norwegian. I'll be getting started in just a few, guys. It's a wonderful day to talk about fascism. Hello, hello, hello, everybody. Good morning, good evening. How are you all doing today? It's another exceedingly hot day down under, and I'm gonna spend it bitching about America, as usual. However, we do have a variety of stuff to talk about today. What's up, Alexander? Good timing, because we are going to start off with just a touch of Australian news, not very much. It does kind of relate to what's happening in the US, because we're kind of making this happen, not to mention, like, the Israel lobby, which really is just America. What's up, Betch? So, Sydney, protesters warned of arrest under new laws that ban protest.
Protesters have been warned they risk arrest if they breach new protest bans with major rallies planned in Sydney from tomorrow. The activists say they shouldn't be silenced, but in the wake of the Bondi Beach attack, police want peace on the streets.
Week after week, protesters have taken to Sydney streets.
Remember, by the way, the Bondi attack had literally nothing to do with the protesters who are protesting genocide. It was an anti-Semitic attack that was far and away more likely to be, related to white nationalists or really just extremists of any kind. Like, sure, the guys were Muslim. That doesn't mean that they can't be white nationalists. The leader of the American white nationalist movement is a Hispanic man named Fuentes. So, it doesn't really make too much of a difference. What's up, Info Wars?
But that was before the atrocities of Bondi.
It's not a time for people to be marching through the streets, blocking roads.
Police are now armed with new powers, warning those who do march face arrest.
If people purposely come along to break laws and to do the wrong thing, well, they may well face criminal action.
Thousands are expected to rally against the new restrictions tomorrow.
We'll be opposing these laws in their entirety. They strip the right to march on the streets, and we don't accept that.
Also protesting against the planned visit by Israeli President Isaac Herzog.
It is completely unacceptable to invite that kind of war criminal to Australia.
In the days after the Bondi Beach massacre, the state government pushed through legislation to cool temperatures. On Christmas Eve, the police commissioner was granted
literally none of this. And then they went ahead and then passed a law that's supposed to ban hate speech, but it was done so poorly that it caused all of the neo-Nazi groups to disband, but then go underground. Not a single one of them have gotten arrested, and they are now going to be more dangerous than ever. To the point where the government then had to backtrack on its anti-hate speech laws, and to be fair, I support backtracking on them because they almost exclusively are directed at the left and have nothing to do with, Nazi hate speech.
Powers to restrict protests for an initial 14 days. Mal Lanyon extended that ban on the 6th. It's due to expire on the 20th. The current restriction on protests is for a maximum of 90 days, but police are still working out if that means a consecutive period or if the ban can be suspended to allow for Invasion Day rallies to take place like they always do on Australia Day.
Oh, yeah.
There was no issue late yesterday when hundreds gathered at the town hall in solidarity with protesters in Iran.
People can still gather.
Yeah, solidarity with protesters in Iran. Sure, you're allowed to do that, but if you protest like a genocide, nope, you're too far gone. Oh, you protest American imperialism and like the kidnap of a sovereign president? No, sorry, you're gonna get arrested in Sydney as well. It's pretty fucking wild. Also, I would very much like to see how bad this is gonna get when it's Invasion Day. If you don't know what Invasion Day is what people who are not like white Australian call Australia Day. Australia Day is the holiday that Australians celebrate for like the founding, but however for Indigenous people it is the day that the ships arrived and then colonized the whole like country. ADD, y'all Aussie. I live in Australia, but I'm American, so call the letter. I fucking hate liberals too. I also hate you more because you are a filthy Nazi and have no rights and should have no voice. So get the fuck off my channel.
In a park or somewhere that they're not impeding people and have free speech as they've always been able to do.
Legal experts question the ease.
Australia Day, exactly. It's Invasion Day. I'm very curious to see how these fucking protest laws are gonna go when it's Australia Day, because there's going to be two sides of protests again, every time. We need a Waitangi. I don't actually know what that is. I need to get more educated on Indigenous culture in Australia.
With which demonstrations can be banned.
It's a very low bar, very broad, the
looking it up
circumstances
now.
or context in which the declaration can be made.
That's New
While
Zealand.
tomorrow's rally will test the new laws, there's another potential flashpoint on Sunday when hundreds are expected to demonstrate in Hyde Park over Indigenous deaths in custody. That day marks 10 years since the death of Indigenous man David Dungay, and organisers say nothing is going to stop them.
So, look, I need you guys to understand. Obviously, America's a little bit of a different story, but we're talking about Australia. Protests here work. There's a reason they're going out of their way to try and ban the protests. It's because here, in a real country, the protests actually work. New Zealand Day was replaced, why not ours? I support this entirely. The reason why not ours is because of a lot of money that gets funneled into the Australian right wing through CPAC Australia and through, like, the Atlas Foundation. Real country isn't Australia is a real country. America isn't. Yeah, like ours is a real country. America is not. That's what I'm getting at. So speaking of Australia and America, we have some bad news, guys. Our reconnaissance forces that we have sent to Florida have been captured. I've talked about before the Great Emu War in Australia. We have now managed to get the emus on our side. We sent some of them over to the United States as a reconnaissance group, and they've been captured. Oh, I know, ADD, but like, primarily what I talk about on this stream is American fascism, and like, through comparison, we are far better off. We are still a state of the Commonwealth, meaning that we're a colony of the UK, but really we're a colony of America, because the UK is the colony of, like, the United States, and honestly, I would prefer to not be a colony of any of them. Visora, your fashion sense is chef's kiss. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Very much appreciated. But as I was saying, one of our Australian reconnaissance scouts that we sent over to the US has been captured. And look at this fucking pig enjoying his time abusing this Australian soldier. Thank you, Ghost Pepper. I very much appreciate that.
A full set of cuffs on this emu. Yeah, say hello.
Oh! Yeah, look at him, he looks happy. He's like, come closer, I'll show you what these handcuffs do, pig.
I'm in pursuit of an emu.
Oink,
Currently
oink.
behind the emu, he's running back southbound in the middle of the road. Come here. Come here, come here, come here. Come on, come here. Come on. Oh, gosh.
This cop's
This
lucky
way,
he only
this
had
way.
one
This way.
to deal with. There was 100 of these. We did war with emu, ADD. We now domesticated them. We actually use them on farms to produce emu oil. And by the way, that's not us grinding the birds down into oil. But like, yeah, no, we lost the emu war, but they are part of our armed forces now. I've spoken about this before. If we ever want to take Australia back from the imperialists, we must first form an alliance with the animals. The dingoes are our cavalry, the emus are our infantry, the drop bears are our special forces, and our infantry scouts in Florida have now been captured.
I'll be honest with you, I've never handcuffed an emu before, but they'll fit. And you go. There you go.
I mean, I'd rather take it back from America.
Look who's
That's
got
what I
you
mean,
now.
ADD. Take it back from America. I want Australia to not be an American colony.
There's that one. Don't move. Don't move. Oh. Not yet, not yet, not yet. Don't look at me that way. Hey, hey, don't bite me. Don't even think about
Oh,
it.
the meerkats? Meerkats
Don't
just
do
chill.
it. Are you done resisting? I don't want to have to charge you. Don't talk back to me.
America would be better as an American state, or do you mean Australia? Because if you think it's Australia, I highly recommend you stick around for the rest of this stream, because I'm going to go ahead and guess you haven't seen what's going down in America right now. And one more thing before we get into the U.S. proper. LOL, they mind their own business, I mean. Well, here's an example of them not minding their own business. I've talked about this before. This is now the third time this is happening. This is confirmed. We've had Canadian military sources, Canadian government sources confirm this as well. And on top of like multiple different examples of this now, the United States is trying to fund an Alberta separatist movement in an attempt to create this air of like Albertans wanting freedom and independence, but also not independence because they are going to then use that to try and make them part of the U.S. The United States buys uranium from Russia, ADD.
Paying people in Alberta to have a campaign to separate.
This is not conspiracy, nor is this exaggeration. I looked this up, and this is incredibly legit. And way more money is involved than we could even imagine. That was my friend, the Native Calgarian podcast.
Well, we haven't gotten our subs yet, mate. And to be fair, we're getting more of it from the UK.
Indigenous creator, give them a follow. So we have actual proof from a separatist who met with the Americans in July. Though no money's changed hands here, there was discussions of a $500 million loan for separatist claims. He went on the record and said, "I met the senior U.S. administrative officials just a couple steps away from the president himself. When we walked into the conference room, the first comment was, we recognize and support Alberta becoming the sovereign nation for the first time." This is basically foreign interference. It's shocking that the federal government isn't.
Yeah, and I would much rather ally ourselves with China, but really I would rather just not ally ourselves with America. I don't really care who we ally ourselves with as long as it's not Nazi America. You do realize the United States is trying to fuck you as an Australian right now. The United States is pushing for higher pharmaceutical prices in Australia. The United States funds the sovereign citizen movement, which is a terrorist group. Americans are not Nazis. All right, you can come back in 10 minutes once we get to the America segment. I don't care. I have to argue about this right now with someone who's literally not seen what I'm talking about.
Doing more. The administration itself was willing to loan separatists $500 million. We don't know if that loan actually went through, but we can imagine that there is money being transferred in through private American citizens and also government officials. We can see with Greenland.
As an Albertan, have you noticed anything like this? Is there a rise in separatist rhetoric in your area? Wait, so Russia is supporting separatist movements in their neighboring countries, or did you mean America? No. This is America supporting Albertan separatist movements in Canada. Are the United States becoming the separate states? Well, not yet, but eventually, it looks like it. We're kind of balkanizing. Albertans are split on this idea. All we want is for people from other provinces to stop moving here because their province is shit. I imagine that means more independence, not to become a U.S. state, though.
And Trump's talk about the 51st state of Canada. Trump really wants to expand American borders. I've seen reports, and there's been talk about this, where he really cares about legacy, and he wants to really cement himself as one of the greats by expanding American territory. So he's going a bunch of different ways to get that. But this is a warning to Alberta separatists. If you go down this route and you get what you want, you might actually have a lot of regret. Look through history, find a trade deal where Trump was generous and he didn't screw people over. In a situation...
Obviously, this is a psyop. There has been a separatist movement in Alberta for about 40 years. That I do know. It's what concerns me is that it's currently being propped up and funded by the United States in an effort to radicalize the population. Quebec has already done this, as I understand. Kind of, but like... If Alberta did what Quebec did, that would be far, far and away better than what America is trying to get them to do. Because if Alberta follows, the current pathway, then you get to be one of us. Now, moving on to America, before we get into the atrocities of the day, I have a couple things I want to show you that is relatively funny. Now, this is a quote from the sack of shit that's the president, and it gives off a very specific vibe that I'm going to show you after. And it's just, I can't think of anything other than this when I see it.
Story. It wasn't meant to, I tell the story. It wasn't meant to be funny. People find it funny. but a friend of mine who's a very smart guy, very, very rich, very powerful man, actually. But he was very fat. And he took the fat, I call it the fat drug. I won't give you which one. It was Ozempic.
Okay. He took the fat drug. I won't tell you which one. It was Ozempic. Tell me that this doesn't give the exact same energy as...
To a point of exhaustion, which was misdiagnosed by a, I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media it went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor that diagnosed...
It's the same vibe! 1-to-1!
The fat, I call it the fat. But he was very fat. And he took the fat, I call it the fat drug. I won't give you which one. It was Ozempic. I won't tell.
And what hospital and what media it went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor that diagnosed...
Oh god, we live in such a stupid fucking country. Genuinely. This is right, but the Wedding Singer villain is a close second. Who's the Wedding Singer villain? I don't even know if I want to know. Alright, now before we get to the serious stuff, one more funny thing. Now obviously, there are Nazis everywhere, right? And predating the I will later if you remind me, Boku. Predating the rise of the overt Nazism in this country, there was a lot of rhetoric about the gay agenda. And I saw this video yesterday, and this had me fucking cackling.
I must admit, I always have a bit of a chuckle when I hear someone unironically use the term the gay agenda. Like, what do you mean? Because when I hear that, I imagine some sort of jackbooted thug in an authoritarian rainbow uniform coming to someone's door. Today, via officials from the Gestapo, our record says that this is a 2-bedroom house, and yet I see only 4 pride flags flying. This has been noted. Do your offspring enjoy the work of Chapel Roan?
Do your offspring enjoy the work of Chapel Roan?
Artist, you say? Indeed, I should like to see some of these yaoi drawings. And how many rewatches of Heated Rivalry are you on? Your second. Interesting. Good, thank you so much for your hospitality. I had to report back to the Yas. I'm listening.
Like, it's so unserious that that's probably the closest you can get to a depiction of it, and it's still so funny to think about. Jesus Christ. This is what they said Kamala Harris was gonna do if she won. Just like, picture that in your mind. The Nazis today, the people who are out in the streets, terrorizing civilians, shooting folks in the face, going door to door, dragging people into camps, said that that was what Kamala Harris would do if she won. Jesus. I am in favor of mandatory Chappelle Roan concerts. You know what? That's fine. You don't get to go to the Gulag, the Norwegian. You are saved. Alright, now let's get to, like, the serious shit. So, we are, inching ever closer to the Insurrection Act by the day. Obviously, they've wanted to deploy this for ages now, ever since, like, the first admin, when they did for, like, BLM. And, ironically, from what I understand, the internal, plan was to use the Insurrection Act this past Friday. However, it seems like the ICE agents on the street started firing real bullets just a tad bit too early, and that ruined that plan. So now we have to do the consent manufacturing bit again, and that's exactly what they're doing. Right now, there are MAGA influencers begging for martial law, actually.
Dear Mr. President, this is the beginning of our official roll call for martial law. Mr. President, I am a 41-year-old woman from Texas, and never in my lifetime did I think that I would see the day where your American people are asking you to enact martial law.
Look, we're going to continue on with this, but first I need you to understand, we're not currently in martial law, but we are currently being occupied by a domestic military force. We are functionally this close to martial law. The main difference between where we're at now and proper martial law is leagues different, however. And we're getting there. We're getting much and much closer every day. But just understand, even if they don't ever outright declare it, you're functionally there. It would be significantly worse if they did, and I think that they will. But just because they haven't announced it yet, doesn't mean that we're not already there.
Some of the key states, New York, Maryland, obviously Minnesota.
Texas Bell, did you know Minnesota is ranked as the second best state in America to raise a family?
Unfortunately, I'm not going to listen to this because you can't logic these people out of a position they didn't logic themselves into. They are well aware that what they're doing, they are well aware that there is no reason for martial law. They are well aware that there is no real, threat other than them. They don't care. They're just doing it because it's their job. They've been preparing for this for decades. And I mean legitimately for decades. They have been preparing for this moment. What's up, Latino Mufune? In fact, the video of somebody.
Where is
Hold on. Not that person. However, well, I mean, that's a German person that is actively terrified looking at what's happening in the U.S. And you know what? I wouldn't blame them. Realistically speaking, what does the Insurrection Act do for them that they're not already doing? Militarized agents doing whatever the fuck they want versus actual military doing whatever? Well, so here's the thing. If we look at... So we call ICE the Gestapo regularly, right? If we're really gonna be accurate to history, ICE is not the Gestapo. They're the brown shirts. And if you have read history, that distinction matters. The brown shirts were the ones that were like ICE, who walked around and, terrorized people in the streets, and then they were called the SA, not the SS, which is the Gestapo. As time went on, they became significantly more powerful. They were a paramilitary group. They were funded by the Nazi Party. They were armed by the Nazi Party. And at a certain point, they became a threat to the Reich. And that's when the Night of the Long Knives happened. The SA, or in this case, ICE and the brown shirts, they were removed and then replaced with the secret police, which is the SS, the Gestapo. So, we call ICE the Gestapo because it's easy, but they're much, much, much closer to that of the brown shirts. And eventually, it's reasonable to believe that they themselves will be removed from the equation by the regime. And we can see that as we get closer and closer to the Insurrection Act, because the public fucking despises them. Can you take a moment to explain the Night of what you said? The Night of Long Knives. The Night of Long Knives was an event in Nazi Germany in which it was essentially a short-term little civil war when the Reich removed the brown shirts, killed all of the what is the modern-day equivalent of ICE. That's what they did, because they were a threat to the actual regime, the entirety of the Reich. They were causing too much trouble in the streets. They were getting a bit too much of an ego. They were starting to be willing to challenge the Reich because they had arms, they had freedom, they got used to the public displays of violence, and then they were removed from power. For what it's worth, for the most of the brutality, ICE is being used less and less, CBP is being used more and more because they have actual training. To be fair, it's not the training that's the problem. In fact, all of them are trained in Tel Aviv anyway. For the Reich, yes, they were too dangerous for the German Reich, which is why the brown shirts were removed. They had their own ideas of what they wanted to do, and it conflicted with the Nazi Party. And that's why they were replaced by the SS. And so, as we continue getting closer and closer to this conflict, this confrontation between the public and the government, there is a very, very high chance that this is one of the ways that they try and calm the public down. Now, on the other hand, that may or may not be the case, because currently the Democrats are trying to increase funding for ICE in exchange for making them not wear masks and having them wear body cameras and take de-escalation training, which is nonsense, because cameras can be turned off. They aren't going to wear the masks, and the de-escalation training does nothing. They should not be having any kind of increase in funding, and it's disgusting that there are Democrats who are trying to make this happen. But we'll get more into that as we go on. A little bit of house cleaning before we really get into shit today. I found this out, by the way. This happened in December of last year, and I didn't know this, and I find it incredibly funny. Did you know that a priest tried to perform an exorcism on Kristi Noem in the middle of a Senate hearing?
To perform an exorcism on Kristi Noem today during a House congressional hearing, and yes, this actually happened. Take a look at the video.
My family with me. I'd like to introduce them to you.
Disruptions of congressional business is a violation of law, is a criminal offense.
They didn't let him keep going.
Audience members are...
It's not that he didn't try enough pre-breakfast banana, maybe they didn't have time. Hell, following this, she left, so maybe it did something. As a black Jew who's been to Anne Frank's home, I'm surprised I didn't know that. Goddamn, Boku. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, we don't teach fucking Holocaust history properly.
To take their seats and maintain order.
But that is very funny. I think we should have more attempts to exercise them. I'm genuinely curious to see if you just, like, drew a circle of salt around Stephen Miller, if he would be trapped in it. I thought the brown shirts and the SS were the same. Nope, they were not. Here, let's have a quick little video, if I can find one that's a good, and the SS distinction. As long as I can find one that's not, like, incredibly long, that should work. I mean, here's 9 minutes. We can have a look at it.
During Hitler's rise to power, there was a group that played an extremely significant and brutal...
No, this isn't platforming Nazis. This is learning history at this point. Howdy, did I miss any fun Doom for Us All? No, not yet, Anarchist Tech Support. However, message me after stream, because I could use your hand in something I want to do in the Discord. I was hoping to create tags for everyone that's in the Discord that we could assign for, like, the country that you live in, and even, like, the state if you're comfortable, because I'm going to start putting out alerts when there is raids happening in specific states, because, again, they're coming not just for immigrants, they're coming for people like us. As of right now, actually, speaking of, ICE is in Minnesota, in Illinois, in LA again. I believe they're in Washington State as well, and in Maine, and in Virginia. If ICE is in your area and you are an activist, I highly recommend you pack your shit and go spend the day in the woods. And here's another thing about modern day ICE, by the way. They are actually fundamentally closer to slave catchers than they are to even like the brown shirts, but they're closer to the brown shirts than the SS.
part in his rise to the position of Führer. The SA were integral to the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazis, and their violent antics would be pivotal in establishing Nazi rule over Germany. In this video, we'll look at who were the SA, who were their key leaders and individuals, the history of the group, and much more. To support who would restore law and order.
This is too long. This is the ICE agents, though. You can see the difference between, like, what they looked like and what the SS looked like later down the line. So, like, this is actually the closest to the actual ICE agents. Mussolini's black shirts were similar. They used the same tactics to incite street violence. You can see how Greg Bavino wants to play dress up with them. Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Everything they do is done on purpose. But, like, again, I need you to understand that ICE is closer to the SA than they are to the SS. Now, speaking of Nazis, you guys saw Jake Lang, I'm sure, in Minneapolis get his shit rocked. Following him doing a bunch of shit like this. By the way, again, like, don't call us Nazis and then...
Go back, AIPAC, go back. That's the AIPAC building right there. White Christian men are not going to sit around while you turn our children into a bunch of nigger lovers.
If I knew he was going to say that, I would have paused it. Sorry, I don't actually like listening to this wad talk. By the way, he did not have a fun time. However, what's even funnier to me is that he was still treated better than these fucks treated the police at January 6th, which, by the way, Nick Lang was at Jan 6th. Jesus Christ, we had to see it. Haven't seen it yet. We need to know. Well, shit. Alright. Hold on, I got a few of these. But before we do, I need you to understand, I have never known that Maduro is actually this funny. I fucking hate the United States for making me think that this fucking dictator is so funny. He's talking about Javier Milei from Argentina.
Seres complejos. Dice que el Homo sapiens tiene 300.000 años sobre la Tierra. Dicen los estudiosos, pues, los científicos. Con unos descubrimientos recientes, creo que en Argentina, ¿no? Estudiando el cerebro de Milei, descubrieron que...
Studying the brain of Milei, they found...
no pertenecía al Homo
that he's
sapiens.
not a Homo sapien.
Que es una cosa ahí rara.
He's
Y entonces,
weird thing.
Homo faciens.
Homo fascist.
Homo nazis.
A Homo Nazi.
Milei es una especie de Homo nazis.
Milei is a species of Homo Nazis. This is 10 out of 10.
Que es una involución del Homo sapiens. ¿Qué?
Like, he has no right to be this funny. Maduro is pretty funny, true, but Chavez was another level. Hell yeah. Where was this? That was, I believe, in a court hearing.
George W. Bush. You are a donkey, Mr. Bush.
Oh, you were right, Liddy Bros. You were right. George W. Bush, you are a donkey, Mr. Bush. Man sips his tea after talking about, yeah, no, he's not a Homo sapien. He's a Homo Nazi. Alright, back to the Nazis. So, that little Nazi shit, Jake Lang, in freezing weather in Minnesota, had a rough time. He was pelted with water balloons. And, you know, like, they can't really call water balloons a deadly weapon. It is water, it's not frozen. However, when it is freezing outside, and you are covered in water, that tends to suck.
Jake, why do you piss your pants, Jake? Jake, you suck
your
so
cotton
bad,
hoodie.
even ICE won't hire you. Get out of our city, you rat-faced bitch. Get out of our city, you rat-faced bitch.
Which is, by the way, right now you got the regime going around talking about how the left-wing terrorists are using water as a weapon. Like, I'm not even kidding. They're mad that people are using water as a weapon. And, to be clear, there's only so much of a weapon that can be made with water, considering all they're doing is putting it on the ground and into balloons to throw at people. It's just water. I like that he looked scared. He looked fucking terrified. And to be very, very, very, very clear, everyone on the street here is fucking terrified. What you think is happening in Minneapolis is not remotely as bad as what's actually happening in Minneapolis. Throwing water can be assault and battery depending on the jurisdiction. They're going to charge you with terrorism for showing up here regardless. Here are some federal government planted agitators, and this is what you're going to see when you go out to protest. These are in every single protest. These are people that are watching you. These are people that are carrying around stingrays, IMSI catchers. These are the ones trying to track you down so they can fuck with you after the protest. This one right here, claiming that he is actually a protester. There are images of him earlier in his uniform.
Okay. Okay. Hey,
get up. Let him go. Get your ass up.
You good?
Oh, look. The radical leftist extremist letting him up off his feet, helping him.
Okay, good.
You alright, dude?
You alright? Come on, breathe.
He's one of us. How do we know? How we know?
He's not. There's images of him in his uniform.
I'm with them. Trust me.
Let's see. That's him right there. Same guy. Same guy. He's a cop, not an ICE agent. Not a federal agent, police officer. They are lying. They are hiding within the crowd so that they can entrap you. And yes, Ethan, they're getting mad because people are dumping water outside the Whipple building because they knew it would freeze, and that I support. I think that's a great idea. Again, you're not hurting anybody. You are putting water on the ground. ICE should have fucking snow tires. It's Minnesota. It's cold. That's kind of what happens. And obviously, like, these are terrorists, and I don't give a shit how they feel. That's one of those paid agitators that we've been hearing about. Someone tell the president. Yeah, I know. Well, it becomes really obvious at the end of the video when all of the ICE goons show up and throw him into the vehicle and, like, 15 guys defend him. Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, like, here, let's finish the video, because specifically, the kind of vehicle that he is thrown into is the one that ICE uses. I just, before they touch him, does this look like they're kidnapping him, or does this look like they are extracting him? You know, normally a person who is afraid would run.
Back up! Back up! Yeah, save your Nazi. Put him in your Nazi van. Go get him some help. He needs a little bit of fucking mental health there. Don't he? Nobody got guns.
Just a recon mission finishing is all. Yup. Extracting. Wow, that's the sheriff's department. It is indeed. There's a reason why we continue to say all ACAB, and ACAB specifically does not apply to police officers who are outright with the protesters. Very few and far in between of those, like 4 in the country, but still. Normally they have 4 dudes grab each limb and abduct you. Yeah, that was an extraction. So, what else do we have? This came out yesterday. An ICE supervisor sexually abused detainees at a female detention center and put transgender inmates into forced labor. One job was pushing heavy cinder blocks across a dorm just to push them back where they started at and repeat. So, just torturing. Quote, "If you want to be a man, I will treat you like a man," agents would yell. "Aren't you strong enough? Aren't you a man?" The physical and emotional abuse occurred daily at the hands of assistant warden, prison officials, and other ICE employees. Quote, "There was a really intense and disturbing paper trail of ICE's knowledge of what was happening in this facility," explained their lawyer. The South Louisiana ICE processing facility is located in Basel, Louisiana. Out of curiosity, the goal for the time being is to have enough reason for them to invoke the Insurrection Act, yeah? I don't think they really need reasoning to do so. I really just think they're waiting for a good time for it. I mean, like, we already have MAGA influencers begging for it. If that's the case, how far off do you think we are from doing so, or would they even need to do it? Again, like, initially, from what I understand, the internal record suggests that the plan was to use the Insurrection Act this previous Friday, and that plan got ruined by ICE agents firing on individuals other than Renee Good too early, and that had to then get, like, changed. It could be this week, it could be this month, they could just not, because they don't necessarily need to. Way back I talked about this. There was 2 executive orders that were put forth, and together with these 2 executive orders, you functionally create the atmosphere of martial law, the main difference being you can't really use the active military, but like they already currently have 1,500 active military ready to deploy to Minnesota as of right now, so we're not far off at all.
Allegations of rampant sexual abuse of immigration detainees at an ICE facility here in Acadiana.
And those accusations are contained in this newly filed civil rights complaint with the U.S. Office of Homeland Security. Now, that misconduct reportedly taking place at the South Louisiana ICE Processing Center in Basile. The complaint outlines the sexual abuse of a woman and 3 transgender individuals during a
How many of these stories have to come out? You do realize that the stories that come out are less than 1% of what occurs. Like, everything we see happen is them on their best behavior, and or they made a mistake and it got out. The vast majority of the stuff that's happening, stuff like this, is happening daily and not being reported, and it's often worse than this. I think they tried to do all this in Memphis earlier last year and just didn't get enough national attention or something. Just like a week ago, there was a report of a suicide in an ICE facility where a man hung himself with his hands tied behind his back. So, you know.
2-year period at the facility. The abuse allegedly occurred on a near daily basis at the hands of the assistant warden, prison officers, and other ICE employees. The complaint also contends that ICE tried to cover up sex abuse complaints.
Join the SRA, pre-breakfast banana. That's what you do.
Threatened retaliation against the 4 if they talked with investigators. The attorneys that filed the complaint are seeking to have the ICE facility in Basile closed.
Allegations of rampant sexual abuse.
I highly doubt that it will get closed, but while we're on the topic of trans people for a second, let me show you what, like, a good ally looks like.
So I just got a call for you. They wanted to tell you that you're going to burn in hell for what you've done.
While that statement is factually accurate, I could use a little bit more context so I can narrow down exactly why.
Apparently you had a friend that just went down the sewer slide and you were the executor of her will and you just had her cremated before her family could even have a viewing.
Oh, that was a trap clause in the will. You see, she was a male-to-female transition, and if anyone in her family tried to change her gender presentation back to male before the funeral, there was a clause that states that she was to be immediately cremated, and that was what was going to be presented at the funeral.
Look, I hate to be dark, guys, but if you're trans in the United States, I might recommend that you find an executor of your will who will do stuff like this for you, just in case. Like, I hate to say that, but better be prepared than not.
Service.
If I remember right, you're the one making all the arrangements, so how did the family get the funeral home to agree to change the gender presentation from female back to male?
They didn't. The mother waited until after the wake was over, snuck in there, cut her hair, and then tried to convince the funeral director to go on ahead and put a suit on her.
Funny how with some people, not even death can keep them from needing to have the final say.
Sad thing is, the mother wasn't even invited to the wake or the funeral, and according to the Bible that she very much believes in, nothing can be done to change your salvation status after death.
So, like, that's a good ally. I just saw that. It was nice. It made me happy, but also probably not a bad idea to have an executor of your will in general. Because here's the thing. It's not just in the cities that ICE is wandering around in. It's not just whether you are posting online. It's not just whether they see you while you're driving. They have a predictive policing system, a pre-crime system. It is called Elite, And this is how this app works. It gives you a score. You have a social credit score, and based on that score determines whether they will come for you. And that score also is not just your score, but the scores of people in your vicinity. If an area has high scores for people that are likely to be targeted, then you are more likely to have that area targeted.
Information on the app that ICE uses to determine which neighborhoods to raid. It's called Elite, and in a testimony obtained by 404 Media, it's been revealed that it looks like Google Maps with pins for all the potential deportation targets. And interestingly, the targets include confidence scores, scores that indicate how likely they are to be at a potential location.
As in, Poku, these apps track everything you do, right? So they track your phone, obviously. Your phone is your geolocation, who you're talking to, what contacts you have in common, your smartwatch and all of that, your movements, what time you wake up in the morning, what your daily routine is, where you go to work, where you eat lunch, who you hang out with. And then it also then connects that to the same data for every one of your contacts and then all of your neighbors. And then based on what they find, whether you are an immigrant who has a permanent residency, whether you are a naturalized citizen, whether you don't have much record on you, whether you're someone who regularly makes social media posts or goes to protests, like all of that increases your score. And then the higher your score, the more likely you are to get raided.
ICE agents then drive to a location that's likely they are to be at a potential location. ICE agents then drive to a location that's target rich and knock out waves of arrests. Now, Palantir is the company that is officially behind this technology. In case you didn't know, Palantir was tasked by the Trump administration to create a master database on every single person in the US.
Also, I believe with this app, they tend to take photos and scan your face so that they can like update the data set further every time they do.
Citizens and non-citizens alike. All of us officially have scores around how likely we are to be a potential threat. In the land of the free, every move, our social media behavior, and our location are all being monitored.
Functionally, this is Project Insight from the Marvel movies without the helicarrier. It is determining whether you will be a problem for them down the line, even if you aren't one now.
In case you're unfamiliar with the rest of Palantir's work, they're actually the ones responsible for testing out their kill technology and perfecting it on civilians in Palestine. Their main product is an AI platform designed to identify and eliminate potential future threats. That technology is now.
You don't put anything into the app, Boku. The entire United States government, like every federal agency, has combined all of their data set and Palantir has access to it. You don't put anything into it. The government has all of it. Doge stole all of it, yes, that was part of Doge's job, and then gave that to Palantir to use to create this. We're going full Man in the High Castle America. I mean, we're going worse than that, Simply Steve. At the very least, in Man in the High Castle, you had the Japanese on one side, and that seemed to be... I've seen the Man in the High Castle. The Japanese weren't great, but I would have for sure preferred to live on the Japanese side of the country.
Right here at home on the streets in the US.
More like the second Captain America movie, mate. That's what I meant by Project Insight. So, let's take a look at who has been kidnapped this week.
People, including gardeners, vendors, and a 10-year-old child, were kidnapped this week in Southern California as ICE and Border Patrol continue their relentless persecution of Latinos and other immigrants across the United States. Today is Friday, January 16th, and it's day 224. And a quick thank you to the California Community Fund for their support. So this week, we've also been seeing a new face in the CBP ranks.
Well, you shouldn't trust your neighbors. You should manipulate your neighbors, Simply Steve. Never did I say trust your neighbors. I said make your neighbors like you. You hear me every single stream talk about the lists are active, your neighbors will sell you out to save themselves. You want your neighbors to not have anything to sell you out for. In fact, your neighbors should think that you are one of them. By the way, I also am not in any way against calling ICE on your MAGA neighbors. Just call them, be like, hey, listen, don't get fooled by all the MAGA stuff on the front yard, like they're trying to trick you. I saw them hiding 2 people in the basement, like I watched them go in. They wear the hats, they have the flag and the signs, they're lying, it's a trick, it's a psyop, check their basement. Just do it, why not?
Someone I've nicknamed Prince Humperdinck. Go ahead and look that up. He's been riding around in an SUV with Mexican plates from the state of Puebla.
I'll never acknowledge any tech spy capabilities of whatever agency because in my belief it simulates inaction on my part. Why would it simulate inaction? In fact, I can think of many useful actions you can take knowing this. For example, poisoning the data set. Going outside in a way that like doesn't provide accurate information. Put rocks in your shoes so your gait is different. Go like to events that you don't normally go to and be like made aware there. Go hang out at a MAGA rally and check in there and then go home. Just to like give them weird fucking data to sift through. Make it difficult. There's a lot you can do like this.
Interesting enough. Also, the name of the off-duty ICE agent who killed Keith Porter is Brian Palacios. He was exposed by his ex, who is currently in a custody battle with Palacios, and alleges that Palacios whips his son with a belt, made homophobic slurs and racist remarks about Black and Latino people, and brought a gun to a youth sports game. Yeah, only their finest. And there was also another death in the ICE detention center this week in Georgia. Eber Sanchez Dominguez, a 34-year-old.
Didn't Jesus say make love to your neighbors? Yeah, Jesus also said the rich people don't go to hell, don't go to heaven, and also that you should treat people how they treat you. Jesus was also the world's first fucking communist, the Green New Deal.
From Mexico was found hanging in his cell. He marks the 7th confirmed death in ICE's hands in the first 2.
Again, confirmed death. There are a lot more that are unconfirmed as of now. Everything we see is them on their best behavior. No, but simply, Steve, genuinely, if all of your neighbors are collaborators, give this a go.
This is going door to door, knocking on doors, saying, papers, please, like it's not fucking Germany. They also have a hotline where you can call and report brown people. So what you do is you call and you report brown people at your mega neighbor's fucking address. Tell them, don't let all the stuff outside fool you. They got MAGA flags up, whatever it may be. They just put that up.
Will they get in trouble? No, but it will waste time.
To get you off their trail. Even if they don't have it up, and you know they're MAGA sycophants, call that hotline and tell them, no, I seen them. I seen them bring them in the basement just a little while ago. I overheard them. They don't know I'm calling you. You'll figure it out. You'll know what to say. Let's see if they fucking like it.
Like, genuinely, I want the American dream to exist again. And the American dream has never properly existed, but listen to this rant. This is a wild one, by the way. Genuinely, like, this is a fucking insane rant that you're gonna listen to. But listen to this and tell me that this is not the fucking American dream. It's not even good. I don't even like it. This is the American dream in its most real form.
Have that experience. I don't want anyone to not have that experience. I want you to be able to take your kids to laser tag. I want your kids to be able to get addicted to drugs. I want you to be able to put them in a program. I want you to be able to become friends with the woman who runs that program, who's named Jennifer, who's a little fat, who's an ex-alcoholic but owns a bar, and you go, that doesn't really make sense, but whatever, you know, the kids really like her. And I want you to drop your kids off at that program every Wednesday. And then I want your son to tell you that he's really excited because he has a month sober, and you're really proud of him, and you go out to a dinner and everybody's still very anxious because it's only a month sober, but it's still really cool that he did it, you know? And then fat Jennifer, the fucking weird ex-alky but still owns a bar that runs the program, is at the dinner too. And your son's 16 and she's 28. And then eventually...
This is bad. Again, still the American dream.
You know, you find out that Jennifer's pregnant with your son's child, okay? And she's going to have his baby. And instead of putting her in jail, you've researched the consent laws and you decide to just let it go. You decide to actually let it go. You decide to let it go because you think a baby actually might be a good thing and it might keep your son on the right track. You decide to let it go. You decide to let the molestation of your son at the hands of his drug counselor go. And you have that baby, and that baby is very cute and it's very fat and it's chubby and it doesn't know where it is. And you realize when you see that baby that this is the promise of new life. This is the promise of America. And this is the greatness. Your 16-year-old son was molested by his drug counselor, Jennifer, but he is sober now and he's working construction. But Ron DeSantis has now instituted the E-Verify in Florida, which means your son can no longer work at the construction job. He comes home and he's upset and you can smell the beer on his breath, the cerveza. And he's angry. And you say, son, why? Why aren't you at work? You have a baby. And your son goes, because Ron DeSantis is enforcing E-Verify, which means I need a social security number in order to work. And you're like, fuck, this is fucked up. Shit, my undocumented son who's molested by his drug counselor, who had this very cute little baby, is working every day at a construction site, which has now been shut down because Ron DeSantis has instituted E-Verify, meaning that my son cannot go to his construction job to pay for the baby he had with his fucking drug counselor who molested him. What a uniquely American situation. And then you start going, well, what can my son do? What can your son do? It's so hard, right? He can't do anything official. So listen, he starts moving a little bit of weight. He starts selling drugs. And in the beginning, you judge him for it. You judge him for it because at the end of the day, you say, fuck, you know, isn't there anything else he can do? But then he starts bringing home some money. And then there's a new crib. And then he was able to actually pay for a new bathroom for you in your little house. And you're like, wow, this is kind of amazing. And you know, at the end of the day, we have so much money now, even if he gets caught and locked up, which God forbid, Dios mío, you would never want to happen. Even if he gets locked up, you still have enough money to care for that little chubby baby that he got. And his wife comes around every now and then to see the kid. They're no longer together, which makes sense. I mean, these teacher-student things don't last. But she comes around and you've smacked her up a few times. She's a drunk, and she comes there all sloppy and drunk with her tits out, and you go, listen, you're lucky you're not in jail, you fucking rapist. Pedophile. And you say, you go, pedophile.
Pedophile.
Venezuelan accent. And she comes around to see the baby, but you let her see her baby. And your son's finally making good money selling drugs because Ron DeSantis made him not a construction worker. And your son actually says to you sometimes, like, yeah, I used to fucking make the construction. Now I'm the king. And you go, actually, to be honest with you, he's doing very well. And your son sells all of this cocaine, and he starts actually, you know, he's got this street team of kids doing it for him, and he's very smart, and he has this system where as soon as anyone gets caught, he kills them, so they don't rat on him. He actually kills.
Again, this is a uniquely American perspective. This is the American dream.
They're 13, they're 14, he kills them all, so they can't rat on him, and it's very heartless. But people are willing to take the chance because he's paying them so much money. He's paying them an inordinate amount of money to do this. They get much higher percentages than any street runner kids do, but they know they have the chance. If they get caught, they get rocked. And he uses younger and younger children because they evade the police. So he's using 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds.
This is the American dream under this admin, too. Now we're getting closer and closer to this admin's American dream.
Coke, and every now and then he has to kill one of them. And you kind of know this because you've heard it from people, but you refuse to really look at the ins and outs of his business because it doesn't really matter, you know? And you remember coming to America, and you remember, you know, how hard it was, and you're still undocumented, and you'd be cleaning toilets and fucking folding laundry, and you know how tough it is, and all you want is to have that American dream. And your son is ironically having that dream by building a cocaine empire, okay? And he's working with white people now and business owners. He's laundering money because they get involved too. And, you know, he's hanging out with political people, and then eventually he gets you all citizenship. Your son gets you all citizenship by being a cocaine dealer and servicing very well. Because your son also, and I hate to say this, I don't want to say this, the children that are selling cocaine, he's also pimping out to high-end business people.
Well, of course, you can't have the American dream in this country without working with Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. Obviously, the son who lost his construction job because Ron DeSantis made him unable to do construction after his drug counselor molested him and had a baby with him, who now has to run a cocaine empire, now then has to, like, obviously.
Political leaders. So your son is a human trafficker as well now. He's a human trafficker, and you hate the idea of that, but he's doing so well. He's doing so well. He's a human trafficker.
This is the country they're making you live in.
And he's doing well, though, and he's getting respect, right? And then he decides to run for Congress. Your son decides to run for Congress, and you're so proud of him, and you're crying. And he gets elected, of course. Why not? He's an undocumented guy who became documented, who went through the process, who fought his way up.
Of course he got elected. He's a drug trafficker, a sex trafficker, and a criminal.
And, you know, people don't really know exactly how he made his money, but it's just construction or real estate. And at the end of the day, you're seeing it when he first becomes a congressman. And he's done it on the bodies of children, on the bodies of women, on the bodies of the poor, on the bodies of families. He's done it with drugs.
That sounds really familiar, guys, huh? Maybe this is the American dream now.
Trafficking. I want you to see when he takes that photo and that still moment in time where he becomes a congressman, he's done it just like everyone else has. He's an American now.
Yeah, no, this dude looks like his dad would have owned slaves. I don't agree with the dude. Like, I think generally, from what I understood, probably not one of ours. That, however, is a perfect depiction of modern America. His name, John Galifianakis, Congressman of Florida. Honestly, I would believe it. As opposed to Ron DeSantis. Anyone opposed to Ron DeSantis. Alright guys, that's enough of the funny. Now let's get into the bad. So, this is what America sounds like now. This is the sounds of Minnesota now. I can't get this sound out of my head. Functionally, it's people screaming, close your doors, get inside, they're here, hide. Like, terrorists are coming. That's what that sounds like. That's what that feels like. That is the British are coming, the British are coming. Honestly, like, it's so much worse than just that. It's unimaginable. The whistles are dystopian but necessary. Yeah, I've seen people 3D printing thousands of whistles and passing them out because it helps. Guys, it's so bad that it's not even just the feds. I mean, it's always been the cops. ACAB is not like a thing we say for no fucking reason. But look at this. This is how they are treating you now. Sorry, I was muted. I thought I muted myself earlier. This is like Russian shit. Even in Russia, they don't do this in public. They take people to a back room and then they do this kind of stuff, not out in the fucking open.
Record! Record! Record! Record!
Do you feel great yet, America? Or do you feel like a third world country? Oh, here's a pastor who is also an ICE agent. You can do it out in the open because the news says the people they hit are terrorists. Yeah, literally the people doing the hitting are terrorists. Do you, like, again, definitionally, we need to start talking about what the fucking definition of terrorism is. It is violence deployed against a civilian population to incite fear, terror, to further political means. It is not possible for the protesters to be engaging in terrorism against the police. The police are not civilians.
David Easterwood is a pastor here. He is also the director of the field office for ICE in St. Paul. So someone who claims to worship God, teaching people in this church about God, is out there overseeing ICE agents. Think about what we've experienced. The murder of Renee Good at the hands of ICE.
I believe in reality, hybrid heathen. I believe in the reality that every single ICE agent is subhuman and worth less than a worm. I believe that each and every single one of you are superior, morally, intelligently, biologically, psychologically, in every single possible way to any of the bootlicking scum that support this. I believe in that. That's fucking reality.
A Venezuelan national shot by ICE. A 6-month-old baby who almost died as a result of ICE unleashing military-grade weapons on our community. How dare you claim to be a pastor of God and you are involved in evil in our community?
Do you think Jesus would be understanding?
We're about worship.
These folks.
We're about spreading the love of Jesus.
But did you try to talk to them?
No church had gathered for worship, which we do every Sunday, and we were interrupted by this group of protesters. Yeah.
God, I can't even listen to them for that long. Also, I miss Outback Steakhouse. I live in Australia, and we don't have them here because they kind of suck. By the way, ICE is now using a new chemical weapon against the public. They're using hexachloride gas. Now, hexachloride gas is a little bit different than CN and CS gas that they've been using. This is a central nervous depressant. HC gas, hexachloride gas, will knock you out. If you are hit with hexachloride gas, immediately leave the area because you will pass out and then they will take you.
HC gas on people. If you get hit by HC gas, you need to leave the area immediately. You need to get out of there. You need to get your clothes off. You need to get yourself
Yes, this is the green gas.
As quickly as possible. When you take your clothes off, you need to make sure you don't remove your shirt off over your head. If you do that, it will just put more of the chemical into your skin, on your face, into your eyes, that kind of thing. You need to cut your clothes off with scissors, with a knife, whatever. Cut them off. Then you need to take a cold shower with a gentle, skin-safe soap. You need to take a cold shower so that the warm water does not open up your pores. Do not take a warm shower. It needs to be cold. It needs to be cold, okay? Get those things cut off. When you get hit by it, you're going to experience nausea. You're going to be coughing a lot. Your eyes are going to hurt. You're going to feel really, really out of it. You're going to feel kind of dizzy. It's going to be like, whoa, what is going on? It's going to be really disorienting because it attacks your central nervous system. It's a neurological disrupting agent.
We're basically in Assad Syria. This is a literal war crime to use in a war, like, in general.
Okay. Once you get it cleaned off of you, those symptoms should start to clear up. If they don't,
buy a gas mask.
Get medical help. Okay, if you are feeling extraordinarily disoriented, like if you get more and more confused over time, if someone you're with has a seizure because of the gas, if they pass out, you need to get to a hospital immediately. If your lips or your fingertips turn blue after you're exposed to this gas, you need to go to a hospital immediately. This stuff is extraordinarily dangerous.
Now, I've seen various takes on this. In some cases, it can be slightly less toxic than like CN or CS gas, but the way that they are using it is not. Hexachlorothane gas is not particularly toxic when taken orally, but is considered to be quite toxic by skin absorption. The primary effect is depression of the central nervous system. The concentration that is immediately dangerous to life or health is 300 parts per million, and the permissible exposure limited according to the Occupational Safety Administration is 1 part per million on the skin. It is reasonably anticipated to be a carcinogen. If you are going to protests, long sleeves, gas masks. So boric acid and water doesn't work on the green gas. I'm not particularly sure how to counter this, but it is a neurological agent. It is a CNS depressant. So especially like if you have heart problems, for example, this could just kill you. So be aware of that, and be careful. Leaf blowers are useful. Yep, that is true. So what else happened? Oh yes, this was today, this morning. An anti-ICE protester was attacked by a Trump supporter while demonstrating in downtown Sacramento. They were hit by a truck, bear maced, and their car was smashed before leaving and running away. Umbrellas are useful too, however, like, it's gas. The gas will get around it. You don't want it touching your skin, and you don't want to be breathing it in. It is a CNS depressant. It can make you pass out, and you can die from it if you have the wrong medical conditions.
And that his car was vandalized, and you can see the damage here. Big cracks on the windshield where he says it was hit with a baseball bat, and then the side window of the car is also completely gone. It is now covered with a trash bag. So he says he was with 2 other people outside the federal building this afternoon protesting ICE, as he does almost every day. He says he was standing in one of the lanes on N Street holding up a flag when a group of counter-protesters drove up. He says there were a lot of cars with flags demonstrating in support of the Trump administration.
Fucking bootlickers. Alright guys, I'm going to say this again for you all, because I've said this on multiple times. First off, do you know where your neighbors are? If you don't know where your neighbors are, you should check, because they may have been kidnapped. Secondly, the lists are active. Your neighbors will trade you in to save themselves. If you think you are safe, that comfort is a delusion. Join the SRA, a 501c4 nonprofit prioritizing self and community defense education. For $5 a month or $36 a year, you can join. If you have financial hardship, contact your chapter about waivers. This is a non-political organization that prioritizes teaching self-defense and community education. They are also an organization that engages in disaster relief. Go join them. Go join anything. Find an organization near you and become a part of it. Nothing is more pathetic than fascism supporters. This is 100% true. Secondly, if you are in a place where ICE raids are happening, if you are someone who is at risk, whether you are a migrant, a citizen, a permanent resident, a political activist, take your valuables that you want nothing to come to and hide them. Put them in a storage locker. Pull up one of your floorboards and hide them under there. Remove some of the panels from your air conditioning. Hide shit in there. Find a neighbor who is not at risk and hide some shit over there. ICE has been known to rob, steal from, and sell the possessions of people that they kidnap. So be aware. Be aware. Let's see, what's this?
Try not to be like visibly pissed off in my videos, but I'm about to be, and I want to show you why. New updates from Pablo Enriquez, who's a reporter.
Yes, this is about the Democrats who are currently trying to increase ICE funding.
Immigrant Insider said that Senate Dems are reportedly offering ICE funding increases in exchange for body cams and de-escalation training for agents. Given that, I have a very simple question for Democratic Party officials.
What the fuck are you doing? They are executing people in broad daylight in the fucking streets. That is not something de-escalate.
There is literally zero benefit to this and zero reason. ICE agents are not acting the way they are because they are untrained. They are specifically trained to act like this. ICE agents are trained in the ICE Tel Aviv field office. Do you want to know why they act the way they do? It's because all of you are Palestinians to them. That's why. They act the same way the IDF acts towards Palestinians. We are all Palestinians now. That's why. And that's why the Dems are going to continue to fund it. Well, the ones that aren't very outspokenly angry about it already, which, to be clear, there are very angry people in the Democrat Party who are against this. However, they unfortunately don't seem to have anywhere near enough power to do anything about it, as usual, because the Dem establishment keeps those people at arm's length. They would be more of a national security threat if they were better trained. Indeed, indeed, indeed. I assumed that was all of them. Fooled again. I mean, there's probably like 2 that are against it. I'm gonna go ahead and say Bernie and AOC are 2 like federal level Dems that I'm sure are not in favor of it. Could be wrong. Now, there is a new trend going around on TikTok, and I beg you people to not partake in it. This is called the nastiest angle trend. Now, if you're unaware of what the nastiest angle trend is, it is people hiding in their house, showing areas of their home where they can comfortably fit their full body and a rifle, demonstrating that they are going to protect themselves with the Second Amendment if something were to happen. Now, first, we've talked about this before. Castle Doctrine does not apply to ICE agents. You are not going to have any legal right to respond to ICE with any kind of deadly force. That's just not going to happen. However, I have on my Patreon, I've explained, I've put like a entire thing on what the laws are. I've posted them in the Discord as well. If you would like to have a look at that, feel free. You can go and check that out right here in the Discord. However, just really to hammer this home, there is no shot of you defending your home with a deadly weapon and getting away with it. However, there is a very, very high chance that if you live in an open carry state, you can show up to a protest armed, doing so with zero intention of violence. Do not point your weapon at anybody. But if you are going to do this as a deterrent, be aware you will be targeted heavily. I would recommend wearing Kevlar, a helmet, a gas mask, thick long sleeve clothing. They really don't like seeing you when you are armed and practicing your Second Amendment rights, and then will target you accordingly. But in response to this nastiest angle trend, which is both not legally going to save you and be incredibly fucking stupid, stop showing your nastiest angle on social media, especially when you know they're fucking monitoring it. That's the sound of the meme. I will show you an example of what one of these looks like. Again, don't fucking post these. I'm gonna go ahead and hope that this one is not this person's only fucking plan. Again, not legal, not gonna save you. That's what people are doing. Again, TikTok is owned by Larry Ellison and every single thing you post on there is scraped. If that's your real hiding spot, you're fucked. B, that is considered a threat and incitement of violence. You are fucked. Do not do that. Moving on. The Pentagon has announced it's readied 1,500 soldiers for possible Minnesota deployment. They are ready to go at any time. These are active duty U.S. military, not the National Guard. Minnesota has also deployed its own National Guard. They will be wearing high vis, like green high vis, so that they can be distinguished between either like federal troops and or CBP and ICE.
The Pentagon has ordered 1,500 active-duty soldiers to prepare for a possible deployment to Minnesota, 2 U.S. officials told Reuters on Sunday. That follows a threat by President Donald Trump to use the Insurrection Act to quell protests there against the government's deportation drive. The Army placed the units on prepare-to-deploy orders in case violence in the Midwestern state escalates, the officials said, though it was not clear whether any of them would be sent. The soldiers subject to deployment specialize in cold weather operations, according to the officials. They're assigned to Army infantry battalions under the 11th Airborne Division based in Alaska, seen here in previously released Defense Department footage. The Pentagon and the White House did not immediately respond to Reuters' requests.
Yes, we're in a civil war, Pre-Breakfast Banana. We are in an active civil war.
For comment on the order, it was first reported by ABC News. Trump on Thursday had warned.
So when the National Guard is there on behalf of the state and the Army is also there, whose side are they on? Well, that's an interesting question, Hybrid Heathen, because considering the National Guard, their role, they exist as they do because of the Second Amendment. So the Second Amendment is a well-regulated militia, has the right to bear arms, right? The National Guard is the well-regulated militia. The National Guard's job is to be the state's military force in order to resist government tyranny. Now, however, we've seen the National Guard often being deployed for government tyranny. Now, right now, the National Guard has been deployed in Minnesota to protect the protesters and the police from ICE. How well they're doing in that, we're yet to see. If the military gets deployed and there is a standoff between the National Guard and the military, I'm going to be real with you guys. I don't have significant amounts of hope that the National Guard is going to not fold and align with the military, even though that is their express purpose and job. So, who knows? But part of the reason that, they usually use the National Guard of other states, like in California, they were sending Southern State National Guard. In Chicago, they sent Texas National Guard. And it's because the National Guard of a different state is far less likely to have issues with abusing citizens of that state. Like, if you're National Guard on deployment to help organize your state and then your government tries to federalize you, what the fuck happens? Then you become active duty military, technically, Hybrid Heathen. If you are National Guard and you are federalized and deputized, then you become active duty military. There are too many cooks in the kitchen. Border Patrol and ICE have ties to the sheriffs. The National Guard are pawns used by the Democrats and Trump by state-on-state basis. Active military are poised to deploy, and veterans are on either side sprinkled in. If it makes you feel any better, the veterans are primarily on our side, so.
Minnesota officials to stop protesters from targeting Immigration and Customs Enforcement or ICE agents. Otherwise, he said in a social media post, quote, "I will institute the Insurrection Act." The federal law gives the president the power to deploy the military or federalize national...
So here's the other thing. They're pushing too far too fast. A successful authoritarian regime, like look at Russia or Turkey, for example, in these cases, they will often do things like this, like a heavy crush of people's rights. And then they step off the gas for a bit. They let people settle in. If you keep pressing over and over and over and you don't give any time for this to settle, it becomes less effective. See, when you do something like this, for example, let's go back to LA. The invasion of LA. A month passed after the invasion of LA, people started feeling like they were getting back to normal. Then the next invasion of a different state started, and then that fear was prominent again. When they don't stop to take a breath, the fear diminishes and is replaced by anger. It does feel like they're trying to speedrun it. They're trying to do 12 years of work in 15 months. And that's because the Führer is a Make-A-Wish kid, and they want to get as much done before he's gone because they anticipate some struggle there. They anticipate internal conflict between their own sides. They're trying to consolidate now. And by continuing to push this hard, they are increasing the likelihood of a confrontation. Now again, I do not support violence. I don't want anyone, but there's a certain limit that people can take. If you do this day after day after day, someone is going to do something stupid. And when someone does something stupid, the regime is then going to respond with aggression and force, and then that's going to incite further stupid actions.
Our troops to stop domestic uprisings. But the president can deploy active duty forces for certain domestic purposes, such as protecting federal property.
Anyway, yeah, they're likely going to do this. We have 1,500 soldiers prepared to be deployed. I expect them to be coming sometime this week. Not to mention, like, these are... This is in Minnesota. This is Humvees and tanks on the road. Minnesota is currently being occupied militarily. It is under occupation by an armed terrorist force and the regime. I have zero interest in talking about whether or not they will succeed at the moment, because we're yet to see what happens next. As things continue to develop, then I may be more willing to make a statement on what I think will happen next, but at the current point in time, like, it's just too difficult to judge what may or may not happen next. So, hold on, let me get a couple more clips ready here. So, first and foremost, just a further understanding on what the Minnesota National Guard is going to look like on the streets and what their job is. Everyone asleep in Washington, they are complicit in the destruction of the United States. It's worse than that, pre-breakfast banana. Every single American who is not furious about this and spending some time doing anything to stop it is complicit. Like, obviously, I'm not saying every single one of you need to be out there day after day, but I would like to remind you that even in Gaza, while people are being genocided, they still have to go to work and pay rent, so there's not really an excuse. So this is what National Guard will look like around Minnesota. They will be wearing high-vis. Then again, I say that knowing full well that, like, ICE could just pick up high-vis and start doing it to pretend that they are the same. But guys, it's so bad in Minnesota right now that other countries are sending international war correspondents to Minnesota right now. First, like, let's hear from a Minnesotan in Minneapolis what it's like over there, and then we'll have a look at the international war correspondents.
Creator that lives in Minnesota. I am not a Minnesota creator, meaning that most of my following actually does not live in Minnesota. To that end, I am talking directly to you. It has come to my attention that a lot of what is going on in Minnesota, the reality of what is going on in Minnesota, is not...
That's not their job. That's my name, Bozo. The National Guard was not given orders to repel ICE.
Or borders. Please interact with this video so that it gets to the most people outside of the state of Minnesota that it possibly can. As I am making this video, I want to make it very clear that I am not engaging in hyperbole, metaphor, or sensationalism. Everything that I have to say is stuff that I have seen with my own eyes or have multiple firsthand accounts of. While the talking heads in Washington are debating whether or not the murder of Nicole Good was justified, it was not. Minnesota is undergoing some pretty heinous civil rights and constitutional violations. They are harassing, assaulting, and detaining U.S. citizens seemingly at random, off the street. They are gaining forcible entry into private homes, which is a constitutional violation, to do so in some cases. And for some people, they are offering money and protection to sell out their neighbors. Not undocumented people they're asking for information on. Legal citizens of the United States. Further, they are targeting the people
They are asking your neighbors to snitch on you, as I said.
Who are observing them. Not interfering, not doing anything, but exercising their constitutional right to both protest and observe what they're doing to make sure that what they're doing isn't a constitutional violation or a civil rights violation. They are targeting these people. They are arresting them. They are assaulting them. They are detaining them. They're going to pickup lines at schools to harass the parents who are waiting to pick up their children. Businesses have had to close in Minneapolis and St. Paul and St. Cloud and a bunch of different places in Minnesota. Most schools in St. Paul and Minneapolis are having to switch to a virtual model just to protect their students and those students' parents. Make sure everybody you know knows this. I want you to like, I want you to favorite, I want you to comment, I want you to tag large creators who...
Our government is absolutely harassing outside media. Australian media has definitely turned the rhetoric down. German media, French media, Turkish media, Korean media, when you watch it in English, they are significantly less serious than when you are watching it in like their own language. This video, gotcha. Battle formations are impossible to ignore, but there aren't enough riots going on to be concerned. This looks like a National Guard mobilization in California, only with active duty. First off, no, there's no riots at all. Secondly, it's not mobilizing to California, it's mobilizing to Minnesota. What do you think they're going to make us non-citizens wear? Yellow SARS already been used. I think they're just going to throw you in a camp and not make you wear anything, really. Unfortunately, that seems to be where that is. I mean, like here is the international... This is Sky News, by the way. This is UK's Fox News.
This is a very dynamic scene here on the ground in Minneapolis. It's exactly a week since Renee Nicole Good was shot dead by an ICE immigration officer. Less than 15 minutes drive away where I am on this street, another person shot in an immigration raid. We believe it's a Venezuelan man who was shot in that operation, not a fatal shot. We believe he is injured though and being treated in hospital. I've also just been speaking to a gentleman who says that his family, a car with 6 of his children inside, was maced by...
This is British Fox News.
ICE immigration officers. The protest that sprung up here, they've been trying to disperse it by firing pepper bullets and mace and flashbangs. Well, this gentleman says he and his family were unwittingly caught up in that mace got into the car. He said his 6-month-old baby, a 6-month-old baby boy, couldn't breathe, and so he has been taken to hospital. That father praying, hoping that his son will be okay. But you can...
You think Americans aren't Nazis, and yet, how about all of the Americans who love talking about loving Hitler? How about that? You gonna make any comment on that? How about the fact that, like, you know, we got the #1 fucking streamer on Twitch.
You think Hitler was very fucking cool?
Yes, I do.
You think Hitler was very fucking cool?
Get the fuck out of here, you Nazi scum. Jesus Christ, I fucking hate these worthless sacks of shit. Like, none of these people have any value to this society. Do you have fascism because of a tag because you like it or hate it? What do you think, Kagix? Who are the people to judge about what's right or wrong in political opinion? Anyone who has any kind of fucking critical thinking skills? Well, first off, don't tell me to fucking calm down. I just had a Nazi in my chat. Secondly, I don't know which one you are. So, educate yourself or deal with it. I'm a bitch. That's how it is.
Really sense, or I have been sensing over the past few hours, the level of anger here being directed at ICE agents, people in Minneapolis.
Again, this is what Minnesota sounds like. I mean, like, here's the perspective of a German. The perspective of a German who also agrees that this is fucking Nazi shit.
Answer to future generations when no one stopped them. And the funny thing is, I am the future. We're at this point in history where we have to answer future generations when no one stopped them. And the funny thing is, I am the future generation from back when in Germany, because I'm a German living in the United States. And I was able to ask my great-grandparents who were alive during that time all the questions we will have to face and answer later on in life. So the question that I had for my grandpa was, hey, why did you vote for this? Why would you ever let a monster like this be in charge of a country? His answer was, we didn't know. We were so poor we could not afford food, which sounds very familiar, right? And he promised us and gave us hope that he will reduce the prices of eggs and bread. And just that gives me goosebumps when I think about that. I would ask other questions like, but what when you found out about the camps? Like, why did you not speak up then? And he said, first, we didn't believe the camps were a real thing. It sounded like a rumor. This was too inhumane to believe that this is the reality of what they were doing with human people. There was no social media back then, so there was nothing that pointed on that this is the reality until it became reality. And also, the regime started to have their own police, which would go around and try to pick out the bad apples who was not trying to follow the rules and literally take them, kidnap them, or worse. So when I would ask my great-grandparents why they didn't stand up, they said, because we would have not made it out alive. And they
Pussy shit. I'm willing to die for this, are you? Harry Johnson, you're not a bitch, Fizz, just aggressively insistent. I am a bitch, but in the good way. I enjoy being a bitch. It's fun to be a bitch, especially to people who deserve being bitches too. Now again, just to remind you, I keep seeing talk about how we need another Nuremberg trial. We don't need another Nuremberg trial. Nuremberg is half the reason we're fucking here in the first place. 10 Nazis got executed during Nuremberg. A lot of the ones that got long prison sentences had theirs commuted. Had theirs fucking commuted. We don't need a Nuremberg. Here's them terrorizing journalists, even right-wing journalists.
This is the soundtrack to life in Minneapolis. Word has spread of ICE immigration agents patrolling this area.
Oh, international law is dead.
And a community of activists spring into action.
Get his ass! Get his ass!
This black SUV in front is another car that people suspect of being ICE, and that's why you hear the beeping and the whistles again. A network of volunteers communicate via a secure messaging platform.
Can I get a plate check on Kilo 77, Florida plate?
It'll take something big to bring what back, Breakbeat Kid?
Alright.
Modelled on a police dispatch call.
I don't even care. This is nonsense. By the way, the feds are following you. Yeah, international law. That international law will come back after a couple centuries, probably.
So I'm being followed. I'm being surveilled physically. A couple weeks ago, I noticed this guy. Every time I went to the gym, he was there. And I switch the times up all the time, depending on my work schedule. Sometimes it's 10 in the morning, sometimes it's 10 in the evening, sometimes it's not till like 2 a.m. But every time I go, he was there, which I didn't think too much of it. But today, he was there again, at a specific time that I normally don't go. Did that on purpose. Every time I went from machine to machine, he would switch the elliptical or treadmill he was on. I usually go to Planet Fitness. I have a couple gym memberships, but today I decided to go to Planet Fitness, and I just noticed it was funny. So I decided to run some counter surveillance techniques, went ahead and packed it up, went to the locker room. Of course, he followed, and remember, the whole time he was carrying a book bag. That becomes important here in a moment. But I decided to go in the locker room, pretend like I'm packing my stuff up, and I say, never mind. Go back out and keep working out. You could physically see his eyes go. Thought I was being paranoid, but I decided to give it another go. Kept working out for about another half an hour. Then he decides to sit down at the table up front, the silver tables they have at Planet Fitness, and I decided to snatch a picture of his book bag. And wouldn't you know it, he has a mobile IMSI scanner, a mobile Stingray. So I decided to play another game with his ass. I cut off my Wi-Fi and my data, and turn off my phone. The second I do that, I look over at him, he slams his hand on the table, and gets up and leaves. I thought that was it. But I go outside, there's another guy just dead-ass staring at me. He's been smoking a cigarette outside for like an hour. I mean, who does that? Stand outside of a gym smoking a cigarette for an hour? So I go outside, start walking towards him. He gets in his car and leaves. But I look over to my left, there's a van that looks just like that. I didn't have my phone ready to go, so I couldn't snatch a picture of it, but I'm sure I'll see him again. But it goes to show that they're now following content creators for what we post on TikTok and YouTube. And you can go through my phone all day. All you're going to find is some really exposing pictures of myself because you know what I do for a side.
We warned everyone that this was going to happen, and it's going to keep getting worse. We are only at the beginning, guys. This is the very, very beginning. That's it. That's it. We're already at the point where they are trying to bribe your neighbors into snitching on you. And just in case you may be tempted to do so, I would like you to remember that back in the day, during the Third Reich, after the Reich fell, snitches did not have a good time. You know, people remembered and kept track of those who turned in their neighbors, who snitched on their neighbors. And when the time came for, retribution, I mean, historically, collaborators that were women would have their heads shaved in public and beat, and men would just get hanged. That's what happened to the snitches and collaborators in World War II. Again, I'm not advocating for anything. I'm just saying, historically, that's what tends to happen. Now, beyond this, they are playing mind games with protesters. It's so weird to have so much effort to do that for someone doing nothing. Are we looking at citizens tracking other citizens? Is that police or government? It's all of it. It is all of it, Pre-Breakfast Banana. They have the apps tracking you, and they're trying to get your neighbors to snitch on you. And yes, an Entropy fan, that's what we said. Like, the Nuremberg trials killed 10 Nazis. A lot of the long prison sentences got commuted. They got brought over to America. The local collaborators, though, those ones had a hard time.
Pia here gets it. The video I made yesterday saying that when folks on the left say, oh, just peacefully protest and call your representatives, that's what we have to do, that is becoming the thoughts and prayers of the left. That's
all I care about this. She is 1-to-1 dead fucking on. Peacefully protest and get ready for the election is you saying thoughts and prayers. The ballot box ain't gonna save you here. The snitching is so easy, so scary, it's creepy, and it's evil. Abso-fucking-lutely. This is why I keep saying the lists are active and your neighbors will sell you out to save themselves. I don't give a fuck about thoughts and prayers. I want you to keep showing up to protest. I want you to be peaceful, but I want you to be peaceful like this. That's peaceful protesting. That is. That's what I want you to do. I want you to show up. I want you to be armed. I want you to have zero intention to deploy that arm on anybody. I want you to stand there with proper gun safety, with your safety on, never pointed at anybody, and stand there as a fucking deterrent. You know why? Because the right can't fucking stand it. They're fine with this. They can't deal with this. I mean, the left are people actually wanting to stand up against tyranny, and the right was a kid who wanted to shoot protesters who were standing up against tyranny. If they're allowed to do that, we're allowed to do that. There's something easily misspelled as the ballot box that could save you. Yeah, I think a guy famously said that on a clip a couple of days ago. The BPP knew what the fuck they were doing. Well, good thing you mentioned the BPP. Because guess what the BPP is doing right now? They are continuing on. Here is the BPP today, the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense on Community Patrol. Form a group. Form a well-regulated militia. Join the SRA.
The Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Cherokee tribes. See what I'm saying? Some of you people did do something kind of crazy, but I don't think they had any choice really because they were indentured servants. So they couldn't really say no. They were eating potatoes and they came over here on boats to get with a promise they was going to get work and they was going to get land. You see what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, what he's saying to him is people look like you, hired people look like him with that badge to catch other people look like him. That's what he's saying. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and that's the truth. It's irrefutable. It's historical fact. Real quick, the only time they took away guns was to take the place of the Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Cherokee tribes.
Like, it's just what you gotta do. This is how it works. We have no other options here. There is a reason why before the election, I screamed from the top of my lungs that as much as I hated Kamala Harris, that you should vote for Kamala Harris because she was the easier opponent to work against. No guns in my country. I've been looking at options. There are options. I can't tell you them, but I can show you a very unrelated video, just a random unrelated video. I can't even say that it is anything to do with what you have said, but bear with me while I pull that up. Just bear with me. You'll enjoy the video. It's just for a little bit of serotonin. Totally unrelated. Not any real reason as to why I am showing you this. Hold on, is this the one? Let me just check. Aha, yes, this is the one. Totally unrelated. No reason why I'm showing you this. Has nothing to do with guns.
Controversy today after the announcement of a sequel to Baz Luhrmann's Australia, but set in an alternate universe where we had the balls to nationalise our resources. It depicts an Australia with free education, healthcare and housing if our trillions of dollars in natural resources were used for literally anything other than billionaire confetti. Major news outlets owned by the wealthy were quick to point out that such a plan wouldn't work, and if you try to Google places where it has, then you're a gay little commie. And the Centre for Tall Poppy Studies tracked a tenfold increase in bootlicking from Aussie battlers more willing to shit on a better idea than admit that they've been used. Baz Luhrmann has refused to explain how such a transition was made, but said you'll just have to wait and see. And in other news, the world's largest 3D printing convention has arrived, showcasing everything that can be made with the revolutionary technology and easily downloadable schematics online. Controversy today after the...
So yeah, just a random little fun video. No particular reason that I thought we should show that, like, at all. Hold on. There was another video that I was going to show that I accidentally just shut. While we're talking about how international news is covering the United States right now, because I am a Turkish speaker... God damn it, I did it again. Because I am a Turkish speaker, I can translate this one for you. Let's see. Again...
Sokaklar günlerdir savaş alanına dönmüş durumda. Üstelik gerilim giderek tırmanıyor, halkın öfkesi dinmiyor.
Sorry, I was muted. I meant sorry. This is DW in Turkish. The actual video in English sounds far different than what it does in Turkish. Because I speak Turkish, I will translate for you and you can see the distinction. So we start off.
Günlerdir savaş alanına dönmüş durumda. Üstelik gerilim giderek tırmanıyor, halkın öfkesi dinmiyor.
The scene has looked like a war zone for days. The push continues as the public is getting more and more and more frustrated.
Burası Amerika Birleşik Devletleri'nin Minneapolis kenti.
This is in Minneapolis in the United States of America.
Amerikan Göçmenlik ve Gümrük Muhafaza ajanlarının bir kişiyi daha vurmasıyla sokaklar karıştı.
The extra violence resulted after a federal ICE agent shot another person in the streets.
Güvenlik güçleri taş, buz ve havai fişekler atan protestoculara göz yaşartıcı gazla müdahale etti.
The police and federal forces have been throwing rocks, tear gas, and less than lethal munitions at the protesters.
İç Güvenlik Bakanlığı'ndan yapılan açıklamada bacağından vurulan kişinin ülkede yasa dışı bulunduğu ve polis kontrolünden kaçtığı belirtildi.
The Department of Homeland Security claimed that the individual who was shot was an illegal alien and was shot while running away. That is incorrect.
Minneapolis Belediye Başkanı kenti karıştıranların kısaca ICE olarak bilinen Göçmenlik ve Gümrük Muhafaza Teşkilatı olduğunu savundu.
The leadership of Minneapolis has said that the cause of the violence and the chaos in the city is due to ICE immigration forces, not the protesters.
We have approximately 600 police officers in Minneapolis, and there are approximately 3,000 ICE agents in the area. 3,000.
Minneapolis'te protestolar ICE görevlilerinin 7 Ocak'ta 37 yaşındaki Amerikan vatandaşı Renee Nicole Good'u aracında öldürmeleri üzerine başlamıştı.
The protest started after ICE immigration police murdered Renee Nicole Good on January 7th. Literally, they used the word murdered. They don't use the word murdered in the English version of this video. And thank you, I am the better version of the song. Just, I'm a girl and I'm hot. It is actually getting described like war coverage. And that's what I mean by, like, the international community is actually describing it like war coverage. You're not seeing it at home because, I mean, we're censoring that. But, I mean, again, the reason you need to arm yourself now is because you may not be able to arm yourself going forward. Do you think the people who came into the U.S. illegally should stay? Well, I mean, you guys came in illegally, all of the white folks that came in on the Mayflower. Do I think you should stay? Well, really, I think anyone should get to live here as long as they're a good person, a human being, and not a hateful piece of shit. So, you know, yes. Well, some of you should get deported. Most of the people who actually only want white America could get the fuck off and go live in Russia where you belong. But other than that, sure. DW aren't bad for a bunch of libs. You're not wrong. And by the way, this is what I mean by they're going to come for your guns. Here's Nick Sorter, another piece of shit, little, like... God, I forgot I can't slur him. But amazing how quickly Republicans change their tune on open carry when it's a black dude with an AR-15. Just in, anti-ICE rioters now showing up with firearms at riots in Minneapolis. It could get really ugly after dark. Not like, you know, the fucking Nazis haven't shown up with guns every fucking day for 10 years now. Not like they didn't bring guns when they stormed the Capitol. Not like they didn't have guns on them when they were beating the living shit out of police officers at the Capitol. Now, personally, I don't give a fuck about police officers, but yeah, no. It is absolutely bullshit. Oh, by the way, if you are going to be going to these protests, I highly recommend you bring a bag that carries water and food. Do not leave your water and food out in the open. There is now reports coming in that Minneapolis protesters have been potentially poisoned by food and water that they had in their safe area.
Minnesota protester.
Oh, abso-fucking-lutely leave your phone at home. Do not ever leave any electronics in your house. Do not bring your phone. Do not bring headphones. Do not bring your smartwatch. Do not bring your fucking car keys. Do not bring your credit card. Anything that has any kind of electronic signal. Do not bring it. Wear a mask if you are legally allowed to, or even if you're not, I don't particularly care. Wear a gas mask. Wear Kevlar if you can.
Are potentially dealing with tainted food. Our camp at the Occupy ICE protest in Portland was poisoned a number of times. We tested and found tainted water, unpackaged foods. When multiple people were poisoned on one night, we had to dump out all of the water bottles that we had. Eventually, people could only reliably eat pre-packaged foods that they checked for integrity. Foods that we had saved and tested positive for GHB, GHL, and Xanax, to name a few. Bring your own water bottle test kit. Keep your water bottle in your backpack. Keep your backpack on you. Keep your food on you. Only accept food from people that you know. Ideally pre-packaged food.
Poison, I would imagine it's been things like Xanax. They're sedatives. They want you to pass out. They're putting in benzodiazepines, sedatives, stuff like that into the food so that the protesters are low on energy, so that they're delirious, so that they stumble around, they pass out, and then they're easier to pick up and kidnap.
Foods, or just bring your own. I don't know why this is a thing, but it's been a thing in at least 2 cities now.
It's called biological warfare. It is a very, very standard thing when you are fighting a terroristic opponent. Now, as I said before, 1,500 troops are on standby to deploy to Minnesota, 2 Army battalions.
Saturday, January 17th, 2026, around 10:15 p.m. East Coast time as I am making this video. We were able to confirm with ABC News that yes, in fact, there are 2 Army battalions that are at the ready and prepared to go into Minnesota should Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, decide to invoke the Insurrection Act. They are ready to go at a moment's notice. Again, this is just breaking news, and it was confirmed by ABC News, and there is not an article that I could find at the moment of jumping on to make this video, so if I can find some sources, I will. They are probably being written. That being said, at the same time, Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota also has mobilized the National Guard.
Yeah, don't remind me of Tim Walz. I'm already fucking mad about that. Guys, you understand this is the beginning, right? You want to know what Minnesota's radio sounds like? You want to know what's happening over there now? You think martial law is not coming? Listen.
The civil authorities have issued a required monthly test for all of Minnesota beginning at 1:45 p.m. and ending at 2:45
A monthly test.
p.m. This is a coordinated monthly test of the broadcast stations in your area and emergency management. If this had been an actual emergency, such as a tornado, official messages would have followed the alert tone. This concludes this test of the emergency alert system. This test is from the Minnesota Division of
GHB is also commonly used by sexual assaulters. It'll land you in a sex offender registry where I'm from. Yeah, it makes you pass out. I've gotten spiked by GHB at the club, though I didn't pass out because I'm built different.
Homeland Security and Emergency Management. Normally monthly tests are sent the first Wednesday of the month. This is only a test, no action required.
Okay, guys, this is actually getting fucking terrifying.
That is prep for martial law. That right there is the emergency announce system that they are going to be deploying. Jeez, that's scary, Viz. Glad you're a beast. Yeah, look, I don't know how the fuck that happened, but I was a little bit of a delinquent when I was younger, and so I'm gonna go ahead and guess maybe? Or maybe they just didn't give me enough of a dose, who knows. I mean, I'm lucky. I'm very, very, very lucky, because GHB is fucking scary, and you also don't tend to remember anything. But built different. My state does those announcements pretty frequently. I know, most states do. But the way that one was worded was a very specific one that, like, isn't generally how that sounds. It's not like, you know, this is your new monthly announcement for emergencies. Like, it's not just a regular test. I've heard those. They don't sound like that, generally. I see what you mean, an Entropy fan. I'm not going to read that one out loud, though. But service industry workers and working class disproportionate leftists never give a bovine laxative to your fellow neighbor. Well, I will say, actually, that is a thing that happened this weekend, reportedly. I don't have any evidence of the case, but I have seen rumors of people in Minnesota wearing MAGA hats, buying coffee, filling them with laxatives, and then handing them off to ICE agents. That is a crime. I do not advocate for it. I've just heard of it happening. That is why I'm telling you. Again, do not commit a crime. Just be aware that that is a thing that has been reported to have happened. Unsure whether or not it actually has. Beyond that, however, continuing on. I showed this last week, but this really is just conservatives in the modern day.
The government can't tell me what to do. I hate the government can't tell me what to do. Yes, Daddy, take all my money, give it to rich people in Israel. Here's all of my information, literally all of my information and money here. You just murdered my neighbor. That's okay, she had pronouns anyways. Need to check what's in my pants to make sure I don't have pronouns? Whoa, okay.
It really just do be them. I've also seen some, like, quite funny jokes. Like, obviously, I'm not the biggest fan of too many jokes in this day and age right now, just because things are so dark, that, I mean, like, it doesn't feel right to joke. But I did see one person say that every time they go and buy a coffee, they put on a MAGA hat, because how else are they going to get the hot goth girl to spit in their coffee for them? And that made me laugh. But when it comes to defending your neighborhood, this is what that looks like. This is community defense.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You live in the neighborhood? Yep, this is my block, this is my area. I don't go into other people's neighborhoods and try and intimidate them. I protect my people.
Are you giving out your name?
No, I'm okay with that. Our neighborhood showing up.
Conservatives are cucks. They are all cucks. I don't know how much I can tell you about this one, because this one's a little bit personal, but I'm gonna try and tell you as much of it as I can. Recently, I discovered that an individual that I know has a partner who I suspect to be a Nazi. And over the last couple of days, while talking with this person and advising them into specific, like, things to look into, it was discovered that this person is indeed a Nazi. And that Nazi got kicked out of their house last night, and that made me happy. That's a nice little personal win for me, because it's somebody that I care about just kicked a Nazi out of their life, and I'm proud of them. So, like, we gotta take the W's where we can, and we gotta build hope where we can. Speaking of hope, we'll talk about hope in a little bit as well. And see that cozy neighborhood fella, optics do matter. That's in Geotech. Again, like, people, when you have your neighbors walking around armed protecting you while terrorists keep coming into your city murdering and kidnapping folk, it does tend to make people feel a hell of a lot more at ease, you know? Oh, and remember last year where we saw Pikachu at multiple protests around the world? Well, Pikachu seems to have made its way to the United States. That scary covert Nazi, they're embedded and up in everyone's business. Oh, trust me, they're everywhere. There's some in Australia that I'm trying to get fucked over. Some of these people are in, like, high-ranking positions of power. I mean, like, courts and shit, too. Like, not even just, like, in Australia. I mean, in America, in the UK, in Germany. Like, this is a long-term, decades-long, decentralized insurgency that they built. They're everywhere.
Pikachu! Don't fuck with Pikachu! Don't fuck with Pikachu! Don't fuck with Pikachu! Don't fuck with Pikachu! Don't fuck with Pikachu! Don't fuck with Pikachu! Don't fuck with Pikachu!
'Tis pretty fucked. Oh my god, sorry, hold on. There was one more Australia video I wanted to show you guys, but I skipped over. That's so sad. This also kind of very, very much relates to the United States. This is about Australia and in relation to Bondi, but you could apply this one-to-one with America. I'll read your tweet next, not your tweet, your chat next in a second. You look at these.
Received reports of a violent jihadi terror attack by an unknown migrant. The suspect has now been confirmed as Australian-born Brian Smith, a man suffering from mental health issues who's been described as a perfect husband and father by those who... reports have just confirmed the terrorist assailant's workplace held their Christmas party at a shisha bar earlier this year. Rumours are circulating that this may be where Brian Abdul-Jabbar Mohammed was first radicalised. Another update, Brian did not attend and he prefers burgers over kebabs. Just more startling news from the tragic community hero turned suffering victim Brian Branzak Smith, leaving us all to wonder, how did this beautiful porcelain prince accidentally harm so many, and who was the terrorist that he was looking to defend the public from? Next up, an Australian man crashes his ute into his ex-girlfriend's house, but the question on everyone's mind, what was the house wearing?
I swear, like, satire is barely fucking satire anymore. I saw a chat online who said he got a trans girlfriend, but he was in high school, dropout, neat, but he was like, oh my god, I'm not single anymore, so maybe if you want to date a chud, not advisable, find a neat that doesn't have any power over you. Look, guys, I need you to understand that the Nazis have a 50-50 split on this issue. Go look at anyone with Groiper in their name on Twitter. Half of the Nazis argue with the other half that trans people are white culture and should be protected. It's very funny because Nick Fuentes is a femboy, and Nick Fuentes' fans are Groipers, and many, many, many Groipers are femboys and or trans women. And so a lot of the Nazis that are not Groipers hate trans people, but the Groiper Nazis fight with the non-Groiper Nazis because they think that trans people are white culture. And it's just incredibly funny. They said the woman ice shot in the face was a terrorist. They did indeed say that. Yeah, they did indeed. Brian Abdul Shahir Abad Allah Ayatollah Mohammed. Oh wait, it's just Brian Smith. He was just a good soccer player. Literally, yeah. Any schism will do. Kind of, yes. Unfortunately, like, it's the Fuentes wing of the party that's going to be their next up-and-coming. Like, when the big one kicks the bucket, that's the new guy. It's not the new guy, but it's the new wing of the party. Everyone knows that everyone hates J.D. Vance. That's not the point. It's the Groiper side that is going to be the one that's going to go out and say, the Democrats suck, the Republicans suck. Hell, Nick Fuentes has been doing that one for years. The Republicans are cucked to Israel, the Democrats are cucked to corpse. We need an America party, a nationalist party that focuses on all of it. Like, they're already doing this by just, like, grabbing a little bit of left-leaning rhetoric and trying to pull from both sides. It's quite annoying. Now let's see what this is. This is about, that's not how you protest. The spiritual Christ and GOP base that will happen when it finally happens will be a sight to behold. Oh yeah. Oh, when it finally happens, Gremlo, remember how mad they got at people making fun of Charlie Kirk? They're gonna have to bury him at sea. Because there is not a place on this planet that they can put a gravestone that people will not travel to defecate on and to urinate on. There will be no place, like, it could be the top of fucking Mount Everest and people will climb up there to take a shit on it. In the trench like Megatron. Yeah, basically, yeah. That's what's going to have to happen. Oh, by the way, big shout out to Gremlo. Go drop them a follow. And let me make you a mod too, considering everyone in my chat is a mod. Are you trying to tell me these people try and make the exception for their trans fetish? Like, have you seen some of these white ones, though? Yes, that is what I'm telling you. Thank you for the sub, Gremlo. In fact, let me see if I can find it shouldn't take me that long to go on Twitter and find trans white culture groiper. Let's see what that search bar brings up. Wait, hold on. Fuentes. Gotta put Fuentes in there. Just to make sure. Every time I want to look for something live, Twitter just doesn't. See, this is why Twitter fucking sucks. It literally never actually wants to cooperate when I need something. I have to go look for it well ahead of stream. But, I mean, here's an example. The closest that I have found so far. This is from 2025. Liberals are pretty shit, Turbs, but you know who's the scum of the earth? Nazi fascists like yourself. Thank you for the subs, Onyxander. I very, very much appreciate it. Hell yeah. Thank you, guys. Okay, so here's Cloudy. This is just some trans, Twitter profile. I genuinely think it's because they see male to female as predators and female to male as victims, not that it's a community that we should ever want to access, but transphobic political circles are simply more open and willing to parade around an ex-victim than a predator. Whiteness is key. Non-white trans people seen as predatory and white female to males can't be held up as examples of white woman. It is literally them talking about whether it's okay to be trans if you're white, if you're not, and they're so brain broken. Imagine being that brain broken, that much of a fucking loser. It's insane. Oh, hey, Amanda. Welcome to Twitch chat. Let me drop you the mod as well. Welcome over from YouTube. By the way, guys, on Twitch, go and drop me a follow on YouTube because I've been banned from Twitch a number of times already. And drop a like on the stream while you're at it. If I get banned again, I may not be able to continue to stream on Twitch, so you guys are gonna have to deal with me on YouTube. The gravestone will be as salty as the sea either way. That is true. Who knew a Mexican femboy would be a white nationalist leader? Yeah, true, right? Alright, let's see what this is. Some terrible protest methods we don't recommend. I mean, I'm pretty spicy for YouTube, too. They banned me from YouTube live streaming while I was on break for 2 weeks for a video I had done a month prior, and then I had to go find, YouTube support staff on LinkedIn and email them directly because I didn't want to bother with an AI. Thank you, Sharpie Diesel.
Also, please do not protest by taking wet newspaper and sticking it to their windshields in the cold weather. Also, do not protest by mixing rust and the powder from an Etch-a-Sketch and finding a magnesium sparkler and lighting it.
Yes, definitely do not do these things. Definitely don't do these things.
Over an engine block. Please do not protest that way. Air let out of tires, terrible protest method. Water balloons filled with dog shit, terrible protest method.
You know what's another terrible protest method? Again, don't do any of these. Don't do this one either. Just another really stupid one that I thought of, where you fill a water balloon with sand, specifically fine bits of sand, and then you fill that water balloon with oil that you would put into a car. Do not do that, because if you were to fill a water balloon with sand and oil, and then you were to, let's say, trip and fall and drop that on your car's windshield wiper, and then you went to go and wipe your windshield, the windshield wiper would then drag the sand across your windshield, creating little grooves that the oil would then seep into, making it impossible to fix, and you would have to have that entire front windshield removed and replaced. So please never do that. These are not protest methods. These are bad ideas that you should not engage in.
Method.
I will absolutely link this video for educational purposes of what not to do, and so you can spread the word of do not do these things. These are bad and illegal and are crimes, you know? But you know what you should absolutely do? And this is not for a protest purpose, this is for self-defense purposes. This 100% every single one of you should do.
My college criminology professor today, and he once did a lecture on home invasions, and he was telling us that most external doors, the like plate that holds the lock in the door is screwed in by like 1/2-inch screws or so. And that one way to make it really hard for someone to kick your door in is to replace those screws with longer screws. I think he recommended like 6 inches, but maybe like 3 inches would do. And so that's not legal advice or anything, but do with that info what you will.
Yeah, this I would highly recommend that you do engage in doing. Go to your local supply store and get 6-inch screws to replace the screws on the hinges of your door. It will make it significantly more difficult for them to kick your door down. Now, couple more things. We got a couple things of bad news and a couple things of good news. So I suppose we'll start off with a couple of the bad. Buy lots of doorstops as well. Absolutely. Now, I showed this on my stream on This Space on Friday, which, by the way, if you're new to this channel, go and drop a follow on This Space TV on YouTube. They are a lovely, lovely, fantastic coalition of left-leaning content creators. I do a weekly show there every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It is a growing collective. Fantastic people to work with. I will also be on there tomorrow, being interviewed by the Letter Hack. So no stream tomorrow because I will be doing that instead. But definitely go and check out This Space. On my show on This Space last week, I showed this. Again, I have. Can you link that TikTok? Which one was that? The one about the doors, the home invasion prep. Absolutely. There you guys go. You can link that one there. Now, I showed this last week. I've yet to find any bit more information on this, but allegedly New York City Zionists plan to try and kill Zohran Mamdani via car bombing. We have this video taken in New York City. As you can see, like, Menorah, this is obviously some kind of, like, center for Jewish or Israeli people to hang out in. Obviously, is like Zionists and Jews are vastly different, and I don't conflate the two. If you're a Zionist, you are definitionally not Jewish, because those are contradictory. But let's see what these guys have said.
Just launched a hate crime investigation. Allegations that a man threatened to blow up Zohran Mamdani. Told him, check your beat with Tuning terrorist. Drop BT. I don't want to say that, I can't be honest. If they're saying now, I'm reading comments, it's likely to be made charge. What? Yeah, they're going to blame us. They should. They should. They're going to give a fucking threat.
Literally saying, yeah, no, they should blame us. It was a fucking threat. We tried to blow up his car. That's what is being said here.
So it said check your fucking beat with BP? Yeah, that's also, you fucking didn't take Gutierrez. I didn't bigger.
You're very violent. You think that's
it is so different. What they're doing to John is so different what you did to Gutierrez.
That's them now realizing that the person filming may not be on their side, and they switch to Hebrew like, wait, is this guy with us? Yeah, you got caught, motherfucker. End up in prison. You tried to bomb the fucking mayor of New York City, you fucking terrorist scum. So, you know, that was reported by the Gray Zone News. Just so you know. And just a little skit from a nice TikToker, Gregory, just to really encapsulate how close we are to 1930s Germany, and then I'm going to show you a couple bits of good news. Trillions of Mossad money versus a guy with a cell phone. True.
Stop, I'm nothing like you. It all started by eroding.
My God, it's like looking in the mirror. Stop, I'm nothing like you. It all started by eroding trust in democratic institutions. Right, and I'd never stand for that. The election was rigged. Okay, nobody really believes that. I had a cult of personality. I don't know what that means. A certain Austrian said it was him or nobody. Only I can make America great again. Oh, that's just a catchy slogan. Or like Deutschland erwache? Sure. He blamed minorities on social decline. Transgenders, Somalians, Mexican, Haitians are eating their pets. Okay. Said the Treaty of Versailles humiliated Germany. Okay, I've got nothing like America was dead, we were dead, now we're the hottest country on earth. That's hyperbole. You weaponized media as an enemy of the people. You are fake news. Okay, fine, you got me there. Political violence reframed as patriotism. The J6 Patriots. Is that a lucky coincidence? Moral absolutism. You're either true Germans or traitors. Oh boy. Democrats hate America. I knew that was coming. Then there's the Gestapo. ICE is nothing like them. Above the law. You have federal immunity to conduct your duties. They're asking to show papers. U.S. citizens should carry ID. And they don't have warrants or give due process. Okay, that's scary, but we'd never allow the Nazi party to just take over.
An Entropy fan, I can't allow that one to stay just because it'll get us all in trouble, not because you said anything wrong.
They were elected legally. Oh shit. Democracy died from within. My God, it's like looking in the mirror.
So, like, yeah, no, we're getting hella close. But again, remember, as I said earlier, ICE is not really the Gestapo, they're far closer to the brown shirts, the SA. The SS was the secret police who came after the Night of the Long Knives, after which the SA was dealt with for being too powerful and gaining too much of an ego and thinking that they could control the Reich instead. And then they were all killed by Hitler and all of the rest of the Nazis, and then we had the Gestapo, the secret police, doing it far less overtly. All right, now let's take a look at a couple of W's that we had this weekend.
17th, and I'm coming out of Minneapolis right now with two small wins today. One, Jacob Lang, the leader of this like little pro-ICE rally in downtown Minneapolis, didn't go so well for him today. Small numbers, they kept getting cornered in downtown, and then a very friendly Minnesotan gave him a nice super soaking, drenching him head to toe in water, including his little cotton glove.
Ah, that's a good way to get around the potential assault charge of throwing a water balloon at somebody. Use a super soaker. You ain't throwing shit at them. It's a super soaker. It's a water gun. There's no assault there.
Gloves and cotton hat. For reference, it's 13 degrees here in Minneapolis today. He got so cold, he began asking Minnesotans for help, which of course they did not give him. Last I heard, the Minneapolis Police Department was...
Imagine going to a terrorist, as a terrorist, going to a community to terrorize people and then asking them for help. But it's gun-shaped? Well, you know, make it colorful. It's a fucking water gun. I mean, you're gonna get shot at anyway. They want to kill you anyway. Ideally, bring a real gun and don't use it. So...
pursuing him in his red Ford Dart somewhere in South Minneapolis. This leads me to my next small win. Today in South Minneapolis at the Encircle gas station on Lake Street, a convoy of 4 vehicles filled with ICE agents pulled up on a man pumping gas and arrested him, threw him in the back of one of their vehicles to abduct him when we got the call for this ICE sighting. Within minutes, we had 20 to 30 observers on foot and in vehicle, myself included. I posted a video on my page where we showed up and we overwhelmed these ICE agents so much that they let this detainee go. Now, my video does not include this detainee's face or his vehicle as a means to protect him further, but it's working, you guys. It's working, and I know that dozens of arrests are happening in the metro area every day, but dozens more.
It is working. A lot of us are going to get hurt, a lot of us are going to get killed, and a lot of us are going to prison. Keep going. It's working. The entire point of a nonviolent protest is to put yourself in front of the violent government and then rage bait them into brutalizing you live on camera. That is the entire point, and it works. They're screaming right now about people bringing their kids to protest. Bring your kids to protest. Obviously, talk with them first. Make them aware of the danger. Children who are, 9 plus can make a rational decision when given the information. Unfortunately, I don't want kids to get hurt. I don't want anyone to get hurt. But you know what is the most effective? on the front lines is elderly people and kids, because nobody wants to fucking see a 10-year-old getting gassed and shot by pepper balls. Nobody wants to see grandma getting chokeholded onto the ground by 7 fucking burly dudes with guns pointed at her. That pisses people off. Now, is it dangerous? Yeah, it is. It is. Do I want these people in danger? No, I don't. Is it more dangerous if we allow it to continue? Abso-fucking-lutely. I got one more thing that I want to show you for no particular reason. Again, this is just for fun, and this is going to depend on your state, where you live, and all of that. But in some cases, some of you may find this to be useful. Again, legally only. We don't advocate for any crimes here.
For educational and hobbyist reasons only. The ATF label
Yeah, educational and hobbyist reasons.
Antique black powder revolver replicas made before the original model made before the year of 1898 as antiques and not firearms. Meaning that in a lot of cases, you can just have it delivered straight to your front door with no oversight, stipulation, signing, check, nothing like that. You don't have to tell me your business. You don't have to tell me if this is for a medical diagnosis purpose or a conviction purpose. I don't need to know that. But I do know that in the state of Texas, it doesn't matter. Specifically Texas, it truly does not matter.
Yeah, obviously, I don't want to know. Don't do anything illegal, depending on the states that you're in.
Would be able to have a black powder revolver delivered to your door. So I highly implore looking into your local state law, because I sure as shit don't know all of them.
I didn't
if you
see
can
the
get your hands
wings.
on one, they're like $300, $350. You can get the ammo and black powder at any Cabela's, Academy, Gander Mountain, stuff like that. These things are not efficient, they're not accurate. I don't have many good things to say about them, but they do work at the very least, and I would highly advocate against using them as your primary thing if you can help it. But if you really
So, like, no reason I'm showing you that. What about if they all wear MAGA hats with crucifixes and necklaces? Nah. Genuinely, go dress up like old people. Because, like, the makeup of wrinkling your face and like, maybe, like, a shawl and all of that, that's far more useful for avoiding AI facial recognition. Whereas, they know whether you're MAGA or not already, Liddy Bruz, because all they have to do is check their app. Because everything about you is already there. They have it. Alright, now, 2 bits of, well, 1 bit of hope and 1 bit of good news. The philosophy of hope. Let's have a little discussion on this.
Falling for the anti-hope propaganda. I'm not falling for the pessimism. Hope is how change happens, not defeat. Not we're cooked, not the world is ending. I think what people fail to understand.
There have been a lot of conversations on this app these days regarding hope, because
That would depend on your state. Check your state laws and entropy, fam.
these are confusing times. And as it so happens, philosophers and great thinkers have spent a lot of time thinking about hope. So today, let's do the same. We begin with the story of Pandora's box, and the TLDR, of course, is that Pandora is the first woman that is created by the gods, and the gods give her a special box and warn her never to open it, but she gets really curious, and to be honest, I would do the exact same thing, and she opens the box. Out of that box came all of the horrors, tragedies, and evils that plague our world today. Sickness, death, disease, corruption, 6-7 skibbity toilet mosquitoes, everything of that nature. Pandora was horrified by this, but after all of the evils flew out, at the bottom of the box was a tiny thing called hope. And ultimately, this is a story about how, despite the fact that our existence on this planet is characterized by these evils, there is always going to be hope, no matter how little, no matter how frail, no matter how innocent it might seem, no matter how it might pale in comparison to all of the evils that surround us. At least that is one way to tell the story. Nietzsche reads this story as a tragedy. For Nietzsche, hope was the greatest calamity that existed in that box. Hope exists to allow mankind to prolong our suffering, knowing that there is no meaning in the world, knowing that there
Rebellions
is no
are built on hope. Absolutely. Nietzsche is wrong here.
For any of us. In this telling of the story, hope is the greatest of all the evils because it fundamentally prolongs our suffering. Well, what if we don't want to be so pessimistic? Is there a way to be suspicious of hope without falling into this pit of nihilism and despair? The philosopher Catherine Norlock, in her paper Perpetual Struggle, argues against philosophies that promise us that some sort of utopia, even if it is a realistic utopia as expressed by John Rawls, for example, is somewhere over the horizon. For Norlock, if we choose to have hope, it does not need to attach itself to the idea that things in the long run are going to be better for all of us. Our hope can be found in praxis, in an ethic of cultivating our little corners of the world. We do not need to believe in any type of utopia, in the destruction of evils, to hold on to hope. Hope is like doing the dishes. Every time we do the dishes, we do not do so with the idea that one day we will never have to wash a dish again. We are content with the idea that washing dishes is a perpetual struggle.
Now, this right here is a thing that I have touched on multiple occasions, and that is our goals when we look at the future are often far too long running. Like, people still to this day are trying to like institute like socialism or communism, and like, not to say that none of these things are worth working towards. You are never going to reach them in our lifetime. Our job as our like generation is to build the foundations necessary for further generations to build from, not to get to the utopia ourselves. Hope, in this case, is hope for the day. It's hope for tomorrow. It's hope for any chance of being able to make a modicum of good in this world. That is the hope that I want you to keep. Nietzsche was an overly romantic individualist who understood nothing about civilization building. Nietzsche was an idiot who misunderstood his own writing. See, if you've read Nietzsche, he is technically correct. He's just not aware of it. His own interpretation of his beliefs are wrong, which is why going forward Nietzsche is misunderstood radically throughout history. But his overall concept, when you apply it properly, isn't all that far up. Nietzsche is woke, actually. I believe Philosophy Tube specifically has a really good video on that subject. I've never read it or watched the movie. I admire Nietzsche, though. Neither have, I don't know what movie you're talking about, but, you know, fair enough. Oh, Dune, rather. See, the Dune books, it's not even in the movie. See, in Dune, in the prequel books of Dune, there is an event called the Butlerian Jihad, where humanity fights a war against all thinking machines and destroys all thinking machines because they nearly destroy, like, the universe. And then humanity evolves to fill in the gaps that once were used by thinking machines. Respect your opinion at all, but fuck Nietzsche. Nihilism deserves nothing. I also do think fuck Nietzsche, except his idea of nihilism achieves nothing. Nihilism isn't what Nietzsche thinks it is. See, nihilism really, to me at least, when I say nihilism, nihilism is the world is meaningless, therefore you create your own meaning. That's what nihilism means, to me. Is that there is no overarching meaning to society and to life. The meaning is the meaning you assign to it. And that meaning, generally, if you want a positive, a good experience of life, is to better your life and the life of those around you, your direct, immediate vicinity, and as far out as you can make it, as much as possible, to increase the standard of living of not only yourself, your community, but humanity as a whole. That's nihilism to me. It's just not the way that Nietzsche sees nihilism, because Nietzsche was an idiot. I don't know, I'm a Serafinsky fan. Once the state knocks down the nonprofits that support human dependency, we don't get to have stable organizations, so we may as well adapt our own methods of accommodating that new condition. Well, I mean, this is also what I've talked about. The way out of this system, the way out of all of this, it's not through just violent revolution, it's not through any kind of revolution. The correct, one consistent method that has been functional historically in authoritarian systems like this is to begin to build parallel systems and institutions to the ones that exist within the scope of the system, outside of it, locally. Community policing, community health. Like firefighters are already volunteers. Grow food in your community, form local trade networks between your town and the town next to you. It is all about doing it individually on a local level rather than relying on the broader machine to do it for you. That is our one way out of this. And on the concept of thinking machines, I do have one really great bit of good news. Blanker killed itself. Here is a sad delivery robot deciding to end its life in Miami.
Oh, it's gonna crush it. Oh, it's gonna crush it.
I can show that because that's not alive or a person. Zora Nietzsche would agree with you about rejecting nihilism to find meaning, but he wouldn't place that same importance on systemic analysis and civic engagement that you do. That's because I'm smarter than Nietzsche. Nietzsche didn't shower and was an incel. So, you know. Nihilism encourages actual introspection, actual questioning. We should all be a little nihilist. It inoculates against fascism. Screw that sad boy Nietzsche. Exactly. Nietzsche is a moron, and nihilism is not what he thinks it is, or thought it was, rather. We can do both, though. Build the poor parallel structure. No, absolutely. That's what Sisyphean task. You do both. You build the parallel structures while working towards the revolutionary struggle. They do go hand in hand. However, what will break us out of the system is not the revolutionary struggle. It is the parallel system building. But both are required to go hand in hand. You can't do one without the other, because without the revolutionary struggle and the building of that system, then the state then comes and knocks down anything you build that is a parallel system, because you are taking money from them. For example, if you in your neighborhood are, like you live around somebody who is a very, very good engineer, and people in this town are bartering and trading to have that engineer build like solar panels or batteries or whatever the fuck, I don't even know, it doesn't matter. And you are using that system, whatever the fuck it is, instead of engaging with the actual capitalist system and feeding your money up to the corpos, then eventually the state will get mad at you. And that's also why you also need that revolutionary structure. You need to be armed, you need to be willing to protect your own, like, local community. And again, it's a deterrent. They tend to just fuck off when they feel like it's worth less effort than they're going to get out of it. And don't forget that this is the America we live in. Again, my favorite video of all time. Hold on, I'm just going to show this one on YouTube, not the Twitter version. Right here, because this is the America we live in.
Nazi.
Wie bitte? Haben Sie mich gerade als Nazi beschimpft?
Na, Sie sind doch einer.
Das ist ja eine Unverschämtheit. Nur weil ich in der NSDAP und in der SS bin, bin ich noch lange kein Nazi. Wahrscheinlich bin ich auch noch rechtsextrem, oder was?
Ja, aber was sollen Sie denn sonst sein?
Ich bin vielleicht ein besorgter Bürger, der Angst vor Überfremdung hat. Aber ich bin nicht rechts. Und ich bin erst recht kein Nazi. Hey, Sie da? Sehe ich etwa wie ein Nazi aus?
Nö, würde ich jetzt nicht sagen.
Na, sehen Sie? Aber der ist wahrscheinlich für Sie auch ein Nazi, hm? Nazis, Nazis, Nazis, lauter Nazis. Wenn einem die Argumente ausgehen, dann holt man schnell mal die gute alte Nazikeule raus.
Es hat doch nichts mit Nazikeule zu tun.
Sie machen sich das Leben sehr einfach. Nur weil jemand die Mainstream-Meinung nicht teilt, ist er gleich ein Nazi.
Aber Nazi sein ist doch längst Mainstream. Ihr Nationalsozialisten seid an der Macht.
Ach ja, ich vergaß. In Ihrer Welt sind ja alle Nazis. Der Führer ist wahrscheinlich für Sie auch ein Nazi, was?
Ja?
Jetzt reicht's aber. Führerbeleidigung. Mitkommen.
Das sind jetzt über...
Ja, ich weiß. Nazi-Methoden.
That's where we're at, y'all. I think about this a lot. Some immigrant communities will pull their mind together and give each other loans because our system makes it impossible for them to participate. Exactly! That right there is what I want you to implement in your own communities. That is what will save this, like, I mean, it won't save the country, but that's what will protect your community the most. that right there is the strongest tool that we have going forward to become less reliant on the system. Because again, as we go on day by day, we are going to become more reliant on the system. They make it difficult to not rely on the system. So any chance you have of moving away from that reliance, of building a system outside of it that you can then rely on instead, is the correct option. Now, we are going to be dropping a raid into Cosmopolitics, another contributor from This Space. Again, if you've never heard of This Space TV, go and drop them a follow. They are fantastic. A full-fledged community of leftist streamers and content creators. I will be on tomorrow being interviewed by The Letter Hack, and I will also be doing my regular show there Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Now stick around because Cosmopolitics could really use a hand and some love because they are not having a great time financially. So go and support other leftist streamers. Go and support friends of the channel. I love you guys. I will see you next time. Stay safe and bye-bye. Also, YouTube, we will also be raiding, so stick around. 2, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright guys, see you next time.